okay, more subscribers, more views, more stuff you get.
You know you wanna
do it for yourself.
And if you're on Twitch and you're an Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe for free. It's part of your Amazon Prime.
There we go. Now, everybody on Twitch should be past that commercial now. So welcome to Monday, March 12th episode of Talk of the Tavern, which is also known as Ask Kevin About His Snake.
Because he's not here.
Yeah. Shh.
He's playing with it, getting it ready.
We're hoping they don't notice that. Okay, I'm going to go change the name of the episode here.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, no. Cool, huh?
Well, I'm sure someone else on here could offer up their snake. Cobra, python. Maybe bring out the black mamba.
I like the mamba. We need a disclosure. It looks like we have Talking Tally, Cyrix, and Von Hegner, as well as Ian with us at the moment. Not calling you out, just saying hello because we love you. What are you guys drinking?
What up, people?
Disclaimer. We're motherfucking assholes with a goddamn attitude. We say fuck and cunt and whore and dick and wee-wee.
I say twat.
She says twat. A lot. We're an adult show with adult topics and adult humor, a lot of it inappropriate. Special snowflakes melt. I don't know. Good enough for a disclaimer?
That's Zazzle.
Kevin will be playing with this thing. Kevin has a day job, or more likely a night job. And that's where he is. He's on the bus coming home right now with his fellow bus wankers. He'll be along shortly. Oh, hey, here's somebody. I'm in here because I heard Kevin is playing with his snake. Okay, well, JDM, Mad Hawk. I think I'll just go with Mad Hawk. It's easier. Kevin will be here shortly. He's in the back putting on his makeup and skirt.
We had the time change. They did not.
Yeah, here in the U.S. we had our bumper clocks forward. UK has not, so he's running late.
Until then, who are you?
Let's do it. Oh, hold on. Do we want to intros first or opening toast?
Yes.
Look, they're being quiet. Let's fucking intro them so they'll speak.
True.
Let's stop with our own Yellowstone geyser, Elizabeth the Pickle Lady.
Hey, number one. Whoop, whoop. All right. Tonight, hello everyone from New York. Tonight I will be enjoying a lovely hot tea with lemon and honey and my normal big old huge glass of water. And that's all. I'm taking as we all know why, and I'm not going to mention. Cheers.
And then we also have the guy who never takes a break because he's black and not allowed to.
Yeah.
Ed Summers.
What's up, people? Tonight I'm drinking Granny Smith Bold Rock Hard Cider.
Maybe instead of drinking, you should use past tense on that.
Well, yeah, because this is the second one.
Nice.
And vaping apple tobacco. Hey.
Nice.
It's an apple night.
Yeah, it's an apple kind of night.
You know, next time we come visit, I think I am going to go ahead and bring over my vaping pipes also, because I think I need to do some work on them. I don't think they all work properly. And the third... Yeah, buddy.
Hi, Zoe.
And Ian is making fun of Kevin also with the traveling home with his fellow wankers. Sounds about right. They're wanking down the road.
Here, here.
Wankers!
And then last, but not last, but third to last, our third wheel out of four, Andrea of Night Owl Creations.
I'm drinking tea.
Cheers!
That's exciting.
What's your other vices tonight?
Well, Zazzle is trying to get to my cheese and crackers.
That's the edible kind of cracker, not me.
Cats, they're lovely.
And what's your other vice over there?
Oh,
She's got an addiction.
Yeah.
Issues.
All right. Haribo makes these awesome mints.
Really?
They're like chewy Altoids. I go through like a bag a day.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Trying to cut down.
It's Jonathan, your fellow former jouster. Wait a minute, like Jonathan who gave us Kraken on her birthday at Steampunk World's Fair? That Jonathan?
So you're the one that started it?
Is that who Matt Hawk is?
You mean
What the
thank you,
fuck?
Jonathan?
I don't know. Who is Stanky Jonathan? And then I'll intro myself after you explain that one.
For the mints.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
No, Jonathan got me started on Kraken.
I think that's, yeah.
Yep.
Like years ago.
That's him.
Release the Kraken.
Gave me Kraken on my birthday. Tried it. Been buying it ever since. It's awesome.
Okay.
Who are you?
Yes, Steampunk Symposium. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm Travis Sivart, your host. I want to let everybody know if you're joining us for the first time because you think this is discussion about Steampunk World's Fair moving forward, the fact of fiction, that's tomorrow night. That is going to be a hotbed of activity with people with pitchforks, torches, and it's going to be amazing. Come join us for that because, yeah. Wow. There's a lot to swallow in that one. Oh, what am I drinking? Tonight, Devil's Backbone. I brought 4 of them out because this research on tomorrow night's show, what a fucking cluster. Smallest bottle in Ohio. Wow, we could get like those single shot ones. He had like, I don't know, the 50-gallon drum that you had to wheel in.
Which is fabulous.
And I am going to be smoking a... Ian, these are great if you'd like to try them, if you haven't tried them already. But hold on, I can't actually remember what the hell they're called. Let's see here. Reach over that mic.
Get the glasses.
Yeah, get those glasses. Okay, La Gloriana Cubana, Siriar Black. Nice, big, thick, black thing that I put in my mouth and suck on for 3 hours.
You
We've all
call?
been there.
You want me? Oh, the Countess is here. Hey, Victoria. How you doing, baby?
Hey, is she on the... Which one is she on?
She's on Twitch.
Oh, did you just spot her name?
Mm-hmm.
Ian says been drinking pipe bombs, smoking house blends, and watching various Yerturb cooking channels like Townsend's and Food Wishes throughout the day.
Stop it.
Oh,
What's a pipe bomb? What is that? It's like Guinness and... No, that's something else.
yeah, it's Guinness and
Fire? Dropped it? I don't know.
she's got a really good cookie. I bet you it's one of those Mary Joanna cookies. I could be wrong.
I hope she brought enough for everyone.
Kickstarter, everybody that has given has cleared, so now it's just a matter of them releasing the money. There are a few people who things didn't clear. I still want to make it well known. I really appreciate it anyway. We know how life is. We are happy that you wanted to help and love you anyway. I will be doing the announcements, the shout-outs of everybody who contributed on the first show in April. So it should be April 2nd, which is the Going Down. Hey, Siroth, been a while.
What's going on, dude?
Oh.
Yeah.
Bailey's and Guinness.
Brownies. Yeah, Bailey's and Guinness. That's what I thought it was. Firebomb or car bomb.
No, that's what they're drinking.
Right. That's the... Yeah. But car bombs is something else. It's like the Fireball whiskey dropped into a Guinness. I don't remember. So the Kickstarter, everything is clear. Just waiting for them to send the money. Then we'll order the booster, etc., etc.
Well, since this is a show about snakes and reptiles, who has some snakes?
I thought we were going to do what happened this week. So we stretch.
Well,
for time
I'm
till
letting
10.
everyone think about it.
Oh, yes. Think about your snake. Ed, do you have a snake, sir?
Think about mine all the time.
Me too.
Me three. Should I put the trash can over here by you?
Why?
No, I'm polishing it up for Shannon's birthday present, Sierra.
Do you want to put it over there so you could use it?
Sure.
The trash can or the snake?
The snake.
Whatever.
Yeah, put it
Right
over
on.
Drinking out of flash glass tonight.
There's cats everywhere.
Don't want to see a snake yet. So is there a certain time that's better? Do we have to wait for the moon to be full?
It grows bigger during the full moon.
Every time it sees a full moon, it grows bigger.
That too.
Oh my goodness, is Kat joining us tonight? She just said she's interested in the event.
Yeah.
She's joining us?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What the hell brought the Ohio crew out? Skipper and Lady Skipper has joined us. Good to see you too.
Is it the full moon? Almost full moon? Brought out Ohio.
Is it almost a full moon?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do we need to see a full moon, Travis? I hear your moon was quite lovely.
I don't know that I could tuck my snake up far enough to. We get in trouble. We get in trouble. Yeah.
So
It's not the snake, it's the eggs.
Mad Dog is drinking Shine, and Lady Skipper says twitching on several devices. One has sound, one has visuals. Mountain Dew and dinner with the Skippers. That sounds like a show on MTV, doesn't it? Mountain Dew and dinner with the Skippers.
Yeah, what kind of shine are you drinking? Are you drinking that damn son moonshine?
No. But I've been looking for that. Oh, Ed,
Yo.
do you like other moonshines like apple pie and fruit punch flavor?
I don't need any more. I got a refrigerator full of moonshine.
No, the reason I asked.
Fine, I'll
is
drink the damn son all myself.
in the little mason jar shot glasses, there's one brand that's putting out like the little bottles, but they look
Little
like mason jars.
baby mason jars that you use as
So
shot
you could
glasses.
have mason jar shot glasses. And we bought
Butterscotch
you
is
some.
my favorite.
Oh, I don't blame you. That sounds good. They have butterscotch moonshine?
A friend of mine does it, makes it himself.
Oh, but they don't.
Apple pie.
Do you have butterscotch moonshine?
I think I got some in the fridge, yeah.
Can I have butterscotch moonshine?
When
Sure.
you come
We
back
can do
down
that.
here, Elizabeth, we'll have to let you try some damson.
Yeah, we've been looking for it. I think we're going to have to order directly from the distributor. Or
We
the
can
maker.
drive there. It's not that far.
It's like on the way to Edge or something.
And I just realized Filibusters is like literally 15 miles away from me.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were that close to me.
Yeah,
Well,
Bowman's not too far from us, and
Yeah.
they're having an event, St. Patrick's Day or something.
Ooh.
so, did anybody have anything interesting happen in their lives this week?
I'm sure nobody's interested in what I did this week, but I actually had fun doing it.
Tell us.
Do
The
tell.
wife is not working. We've been having
So you
lots of
did with her?
sex. Yeah. And we did the Hobbit Lord of the Rings marathon this past week.
Oh, nice.
Is that a new pose? Is that
You damn right it is.
the Eye of
Yeah,
Sauron?
little man. By the way, Ian
I want to
says,
know what the ring is.
oh, yeah. So Ian says Bailey's and Guinness is a car bomb. A pipe bomb is Jolt Cola with 2 double shot espressos carefully added.
Do they
You
still
don't-
make Jolt Cola?
If you don't
Can we
use,
say pipe bomb on Twitch and not get in trouble with the authorities?
oh, I don't know. We'll find out which one of us
It's
gets
a
arrested.
drink.
Yeah, that's why we have a black man on the show, so us white people don't get in trouble. Of course, we're Irish, so I'm Irish.
I'm not Irish.
You're Italian, so if you said what meatball bomb, you get in trouble.
Oh.
Oh,
Speaking of,
Go ahead.
not speaking of meatball, but if you go to Google Maps, you can use Mario Kart instead of your little arrow.
Really?
Before starting the directions, on Google Maps where you have the start button, and there's a little box with a question mark in it, and if you press that instead, then you'll have a Mario Kart on your map.
This is
Yeah.
let's go.
Kevin
And
says he's
Elizabeth-
almost home.
Oh, yay. Oh, did he?
He says
Ian
now
said-
to whip out my snake.
That's
I had something interesting happen this weekend. I had goat. I ate goat as food.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
please
different.
clarify, yeah.
Uh,
Eating it is different from having it.
It was much bonier than I thought it was going to be, but it was all right. I mean, you could live off it.
All playing into the innuendo too well.
I'm not gonna. Just let me talk. God, okay, what do I hit for the Mario Kart?
Okay, did you type in direct where you want to go?
Oh, I see. I've got to go direction. All right. Yes.
Okay, now, and then it has the button on the bottom that says directions, correct?
Yes.
Hit that once,
Okay.
Now it has a start button, and to the left of the start, it has that question mark box from the game, right? Is that correct?
Now, it says my
Yeah.
location to that.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me show you on my screen. Sounds like Mario graphics would be appropriate. Okay, pulling up the maps.
Everybody, get on their phone. It's
Okay.
a race.
So let me do.
Oh, I got it. I got it. It's
There you go.
before.
Yeah, after you hit directions, before you hit start, it's right beside the start button.
Right.
And go.
My phone's talking to me. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have fun with that.
Oh,
So, what happened this week? What besides eating goat? I mean, is there more to the goat eating story?
I had Napoleon made goat and Momo dumplings. I ordered a bed, which will be delivered on Thursday. I am being a grown-up now, and after 2 years of living in New York, I will have a bed.
Is it a bunk bed?
No, it's a queen size, very expensive, sort of thick mattress. Bells and whistles. I don't even know if the box spring is going to make it up my stairs. We'll
Good
see what
point.
happens.
By the way, Ian asked, would a full moon delivered in a joking manner be considered of sexual nature? Yes. Talking Towie says, sounds like the Mario graphics would be appropriate when bad GPS directions send you over a cliff or something.
Or in the middle. When I take the ferry to Surrey. Oh, that'll be funny. Mario Kart in the water.
And I watched a bunch of Jessica Jones's new season.
Oh, I
Just like a what?
Jessica Jones.
Just like a Jones.
I'm not a crack snacker.
Yes, Ed?
Seraph? No, not exactly. Well, yeah, kind of a permanent vacation, though.
You could tell if you want to, Ed. We don't. It's up to you.
Nah.
Okay.
Don't say permanent vacation. That means.
So, besides
Ed.
Hobbit, have you finished your floors, Ed?
Oh, hell no. We've been fucking off, man. It's if she's not working, it's party time, dude. We watched Thor Ragnarok. Got that out of the way.
What do you think?
I laughed my ass off the entire fucking movie. It was great. It was
A great movie, ain't it?
It was
like
great.
how it should have been from the get-go.
But I had to get that out of the way because April coming around in Infinity War. So, yeah. I
Right.
normally don't. Well, yeah. I normally just wait, and don't go to movies. But I got to see Infinity War in the theater. I'm geek like that. So
There you go.
And, spoiler alert, watch the last episode of Star Wars Rebels.
Ooh.
Are you happy with it?
I'm excited with the way they ended it because it left them lots of room to make some good movies.
I have ordered season 3 on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever I ordered it on.
Mhm.
So that'll be coming. I'll be watching that soon. So Andrew, did you do anything interesting this week?
It's Monday.
Did you do since we last were on a show?
No.
No.
Good
Thanks
answer.
for
Yes,
asking.
you did.
What'd I do?
You sent me a card. A beautiful postcard.
With my stickers. That's okay. I got a picture of Pooh Pie.
Bye-bye!
You know what we need? We need a patch check. Let's do a patch check. So here's my Talk of the Tavern patch. Anybody else got theirs?
Yes, it's hanging right there.
It's behind me.
I don't because
You need to. Next batch got to have Velcro on them so I can. Yeah.
You got a hot glue gun. What the hell?
Huh? Well, yeah.
Do you guys not know how patch checks work? You were supposed to buy the next drink. Nobody had their patch.
I got my patch right here. My little leprechaun.
You're Talk to the Tavern patch.
you didn't say which patch.
You didn't say
just
which
said
patch. My
No,
leprechaun.
you
I'm
been
celebrating
talking.
St. Patty's Day.
Oh.
And he's got an AR-15 in his hand, too.
Elizabeth's like, I'll take care of this shit.
I got my patch right here.
There you go.
Oh, wait, wrong one.
The first one, we don't wonder. We know you're a woman.
God damn it.
I'll take it as a compliment, because I'm sure it was
Yes. We're not confused. Oh, let's see if we had more people that we
That was one of my
call out.
lines in the movie. I'm frightened and aroused at the same time.
You call?
I have that effect on.
Camera's having trouble. Or now see, now when I'm not drinking, everyone's drinking.
I'm not. It's okay.
All right, we're drinking tea. That's my tea sister.
Yeah.
Dev Null, what's up, man? Good to see you. And a couple other people who I'm not going to call out because we don't know them as regular.
Whatever. Hi, anyway. We see you.
To the quiet folks who may be new, feel free to place up. Couple things to remember is Amazon Prime. You could subscribe without paying a cent, but we still earn something from it. Appreciate that. Feel free to follow, subscribe.
Oh,
what?
I want to see your bits. Throw your bits at me. And if you go down to the little triangle thing in the comment, you can watch videos and get free bits to throw at us.
And Kevin should be on relatively soon.
Yeah.
Throw your bits for his snake.
And Mad Hawk says,
I.
Okay.
reminds me.
Oh, that's what I've been doing all week. I've been practicing my French because I want to go to France.
Hey,
Dude.
42% fluent.
And Jonathan Mad Hawk is formerly retired from jousting.
can you say that in French? 40% fluent.
No.
No. Well done. Bon. Who said that?
I can't.
I started planning my next hike trip this weekend, too.
Oh, where are you going?
We're going to do the Appalachian Trail through Shenandoah National Park.
Mm. When are you going?
Hell if I know. Once it gets a little warmer.
What are you doing in mid-April, Ed? All right, I'm just gonna say, I have like a list of places for us to.
Are you
visit.
volunteering?
Anyway, I have a list of places for us to visit this year. And in April, Bluebell Trail and Nova Park. And what is it? Fairfax Station, Virginia.
Oh.
It's supposed to be like a fairy forest feel.
In the middle of the city, right?
I don't fucking know.
Fairfax Station tends to kind of developed.
I don't know. I'm going in the woods. I saw this. I researched it. I'm going.
You go, girl.
Go in the woods. Don't wipe with poison ivy.
He's like a bear.
What?
You go in the woods.
I'm not going to shit in the woods. What the hell?
But
Oh, you're like a pope then.
Well, you'll be the only one not.
That's okay. I'm good with that.
She's going to walk fast and funny out of the woods.
That all depends.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's better if you don't. What does that say? Speaking of...
Oh, that might be a question for Elizabeth, too. He's asking Mad Hawk. Ian is asking Mad Hawk if he's ever heard of water jousting.
Is that
What
sex
about-
in the shower?
Could be.
Or with the squirter.
Ooh.
I've heard of people, you get on rubber rafts and then you like joust each other or try to off in a pool.
Oh, interesting.
So it's
But
nothing
if he's-
like water hockey.
Well, you're in a pool, but you're wimpy because you can breathe all the time. Versus underwater hockey, you can only breathe some of the time. And usually not when you want to. Kind of like really good sex, you know. I should start drinking. I'm going to embarrass myself.
You know, when you're drinking, you say the same things. You're just no longer embarrassed by them.
Yeah.
Probably.
And you may say it a wee bit louder when you're drinking.
Yeah, a wee bit, and I'm probably not as well.
there might be a little blah, 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 right before it.
Look, now she's all
Make
wet.
me spit. You made me spit.
Spit or swallow, whatever you're into.
If it's love, I'll swallow.
Let's see, what did I do the past 7 days? I've worked a lot of research on the special episode for tomorrow. I have started working on developing my next book.
What's
My
that
children's-
special episode for tomorrow about there, Travis?
Yeah.
You ever seen Disney's Something Wicked This Way Comes? It's like that, but modernized.
Okay.
Less singing.
With a blend of the steampunk community, the BDSM community, and yeah, it's basically Steampunk World's Fair is taken over by new management. I'm looking to find out, where it's moving, how the transition went, and where it's going in the future. And a lot of people are very concerned about why the old management had to leave, which is not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on moving forward. But there are trust issues between the community and the convention now. So we're going to have the con chair on tomorrow night, Michael Whitehouse. And we have invited everybody.
Is that 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
Yes, that's correct. Don't forget the time change. But, yeah, we're going to have the con head on and talk to him. And I have warned him I'm going to ask blunt, direct questions that the people want to know the answers to.
Because we're not taking sides.
No, we're not. It's the bottom line with this. The reason I want to know and the reason I want to do this is because I want to know if Talk of the Tavern, A, is going to support the con in any way. B, if I want to attend the con personally.
Yeah.
And management makes a difference to me. So I'm inquiring for me, but hopefully. Now, some people have posted a list of questions longer than Ed's Johnson.
Fuck.
So-
That many?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like in a 12 font, too. It's not like, 4 font or something. Let's see here.
You mean the other way? It was in a 4 font, not an 18.
Maybe. Sproutwood Fairy Fest in PA is running their final event the same weekend as Steampunk World's Fair this year.
Oh.
And when is Steampunk's World Fair?
Steampunk World Fair, it lays claim. Oh, there you go. Kevin's on his way in with his Python out.
Yay.
No, when is it? When is the date?
When is it? May 4th
Fourth?
through
Okay.
6th. Yes. So we'll see. The one of the big issues seem to be the management company runs multiple events, including Wicked Fair, which tends to be a bit BDSM oriented. And I'm not concerned about Wicked Fair or the other events they run.
No.
I want to know about the one I want to go to that relates to the community that I interact most with. We'll see how it goes. I doubt everybody's walking away happy.
Well, we never can. You can't please everyone, so just.
No,
It'll be a heck of a show. I'm sure it'll be interesting, intriguing, and
It was. It will. It was. I'm a time traveler. It's steampunk. It was.
and next week's lottery
Well,
numbers.
What I want to know is, are these people going to cause so much issue
I
because
got it,
of the
Travis.
demands that I'm not going to
Oh,
want to
what do
go
you
there
got?
personally?
Kevin.
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Ed's getting some Kevin,
Like, yeah.
and I think we'll just immediately let him. I'll intro him. Hey, there's a Kevin. Let's see if we can different sound first.
Oh,
Big Kevin.
his snakes out and everything.
Bonsoir, mon ami.
What up, bitch?
How's it going, man?
Wow.
Apologies for being tardy as ever. That's tardy as in late for the show.
Because we changed time, it's all right.
Well, we can't use the other form of tardy anymore. Even you no longer have flame retarded. You have flame special challenges.
But we still have retarded bombs.
That's offensive.
Tonight's show could be interesting on the grounds that reptiles don't understand headsets.
Okay. Joining us a little late, but thankfully here because of the American time change, it screwed him over. Kevin Crew and his. Who else do you got there?
Who you got?
This is this evening to bring us into the show. This is Otto.
Auto,
Say hi, Otto.
automobile? Autocorrect? Or the Ottoman Empire? What kind of auto is he?
Otto know better.
Kevin, what are your vices tonight, sir?
Tonight, when I'm not handling reptiles, I will be smoking my regular hand-rolled drum tobacco, and as ever, given the lateness of the hour, I am having it large with a strong black coffee in my dark side mug.
Very good. And a wee side bag of mice to nibble on so the snakes like his smell.
If I had mice out tonight, this little fellow would not be calmly slung around my shoulders. He would be chewing my face off. Or he'd be trying to. Bless him.
Let's do our opening toast. Here's to loving Kevin's snakes.
Here, here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move forward with Kevin, do you want to take over, or do you want me to direct the show and you just answer shit?
yeah, you direct, and
Okay.
I'll answer and try not
Let's
to spoil
start
my
with
What's some basic safety handling things?
why don't we have him tell him about the snake real quick,
Oh,
and then we can go into
Okay.
exactly that.
Either
Tell us a
or.
little about Otto, then Andrea has a question.
Okay, right. This is Otto. He is a 5-year-old male royal python, quite often referred to in the pet trade as a ball python. And he's now attempting to make a break for it down the front of my jumper. There he goes. He's like, oh, my time to be on camera? No, I'm going to disappear. Royal pythons are quite possibly one of the most commonly kept snakes in the exotic pet trade. They hail from Africa, mainly from the Namibian area.
No
They're
wonder
a
they're so
desert-
big.
Yeah, this actually is, he's a fully grown guy. They're not known to be massive snakes. The fully grown size for an adult is around 4 to 5 feet. This guy's been fully grown for a couple of years now. Out you come. There you are, look. There we go. Hey, buddy. I'll try and get him out of my jumper if I can, just so you guys can see a little bit clearer the full size of him. Give me your tail lock. Good boy. There we go, look. So this is the full snake. He's about 4 foot in length. They're often called ball pythons because when they're at rest, they have a tendency to prefer to coil up into a little ball like this. So if you find one sat out in the wild or basking, instead of being stretched out, they're normally coiled up like a neatly coiled pile of rope. Hence, having earned the nickname ball pythons. But royal python's the correct designation. They're desert dwellers, but they don't do well in the midday heat of the desert. So this little guy has a tendency to find burrows created by other digging animals, desert gophers, that kind of thing. And he will use the burrow that something else has dug underground to shelter from the fierceness of the midday heat. And he will come out at dawn and at dusk to hunt. Say hi, Otto. Try and get it. Obviously, snakes also don't do very well at the whole sitting still and posing for the camera thing. So I'll do my best. There we go. Look, go and say hi to the webcam. Yes.
See, this is why we did the Kickstarter to get better equipment for like Kevin, get him a better camera. And if you guys do want to give, you still can give in 2 ways. You'll see the announcement come up about the PayPal. It just came up a couple moments ago. Or you can go to my cigar wish list and send cigars. Go on.
What else would you like to know about Otto? Because I could probably fill the 3-hour show just waffling crap about royal pythons.
well, first of all, what's some basic handling safety precautions with snakes?
Right. For general snake handling, number 1, probably the most important, antibacterial hand gel. Never more than a couple of feet from me anytime I'm handling snakes. The reason for this is twofold. 1, we come into contact with all kinds of stuff in the human world, chemicals that are man-made and so on, that snakes just don't come into contact with in the wild. So using antibacterial hand gel prevents us from transferring crap off of our hands onto the snake that may irritate them, whether it's irritating the skin or, in the case of some horrendous chemicals like bleach, potentially soaking into the skin and causing poisoning. But it's also important because snakes all snakes in their bellies contain recognizable forms of bacteria that we would associate with food poisoning. Many of them have salmonella bacteria present in their stomachs, and the reason for this is that their digestive system needs to be acidic and powerful enough to break down meat and bone in less than 48 hours. So every time a snake eats, regardless of how large it is, regardless of how large the meal is, most of the initial digestion takes place within the first 48 hours after the meal's consumed. So the bacteria and the acids in their stomach are incredibly strong compared to ours. Now, obviously, at some point in a viv or in the wild, they're going to poop that out. And in a home vivarium where they're moving around in a limited space compared to the wild, the chances are they may crawl through that, around it, touch it, which means that on their skin, they can have bacteria that if you then transfer to your hands and accidentally ingest, will give you, how can I describe this politely?
The screaming shits.
Yeah, the double-ended fountain. Yeah.
Glad I can help.
Yeah. So number one, I'd say, is sanitize. Both for your own snake, your own sake, and the sake of the snake. Handling tips. Always going low if you're going to pick a snake up. You never come from above a snake unless you can help it. I mean, obviously, there are times, for example, if I'm transporting him to and from a show, it will be in a plastic tub with a lid, in which case the only way to reach it is to reach in from above, in which case I will tap the side of the tub first, let him know that I'm there, and then try and move as slowly as possible. And the reason for this is, in the wild, things that are on the ground on the same level as a snake, it can move away from them or it can bite them. It's got some way of defending itself, but what they're most paranoid about is attack from above by aerial predators, birds of prey, that kind of thing. So it's never wise to move quickly at a snake from an above angle, because even if they recognize your scent, they will treat that as a threat and respond accordingly, normally by trying to bite you. So you come in low. I'll try and demonstrate with Otto here, although he's not going to be too cooperative. But can you see him there on my knees? All right,
Yeah.
I see your big snake.
So rather than trying to grab a snake like this from above or even from the side, you come in low underneath with a flat hand. Touch the side of the snake first so he knows you're there, so it's not a shock contact. And you slide your hand in gently underneath until you're supporting him like this, and then you lift. And at no point do you try and grab hold of a snake like this. Otto's very placid, he'll let me do that. If this was a couple of my other snakes, they'd start to feel nervous right now because they feel restricted and restrained if you have a grip all the way around them. So rather than holding and pulling on them like a bit of rope, you always try and lift and support. So you can see my other hand here, all I've got is just tucked underneath him. I'm letting him crawl over the top under his own pace. I'm not trying to hold him back. So rather than holding a snake in place, as they move, you move your hands and support him wherever he is, like this.
I think Ed's given those same instructions too.
Yeah, I like when they go on low from underneath, cradle a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little tickle while you're down there. Yeah.
No, she's writing on the board.
The only difference between this and Ed's python is that I can hold this with one hand.
Now, everybody knows you can't interrupt Kevin with other questions or whatever, right?
Absolutely. Anyone who's listening tonight, I mean, it doesn't have to be about Otto here. I should briefly explain this. A lot of our
Ian
regular
says he's got a friend that keeps ball and albino pythons. Fantastic
nice
animals.
Yeah, they are. They're very friendly, which is why these guys, there's two reasons for them being one of the most prevalent in the hobby. One is that they're relatively cheap.
Ooh. Hi, Cat. How you doing, baby?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
You guys will have to keep me up to date because I'm watching Otto and you guys, so I'm not checking Twitch at the moment. So do
We
shout
have
out.
Cat today. She's here for your snake.
Me snake, me cat.
Not our cat, but Cat Taylor.
Yeah. No, my has been banished to the kitchen for the time being, so he doesn't try and come. Oh, look, you going for the webcam?
Poor Fred.
Oh, get it, Otto.
Ian is saying, used to catch snakes as a precocious youngster in the backwoods, mostly rock garters and water snakes. Avoided the venomous ones. We had a snake pit in the area we steered clear of. And Elizabeth, you know to interrupt also if you have questions or comments, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
Go
am
on.
living in America because we don't have many wild snakes in this country. In fact, we have, apart from grass snakes, we only have one other species of snake, and it's only very mildly venomous, and that's the British adder. You, on the other hand, have hundreds of different species of snakes, especially corn snakes, garter snakes, incredibly prevalent across large stretches of.
That's for two reasons. One, we're actually on a continent instead of an island, and two, fucking St. Patrick.
Yeah, you do know that's an analogy. Yeah.
Druids, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right then.
But you want to explain it anyway for listeners who might not know?
Yeah, the whole St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland is actually a reference to the fact that he was a Christian reformer who did an awful lot of work to quell or quash the pagan religion in Ireland and attempt to replace it with Christianity.
He was Roman too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Roman.
Roman.
One of my favorite snakes out in America, we have a lot of in Virginia, are the rat snakes or black snakes or racers.
Oh, yeah.
They're lovely.
They're all over my yard.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good. They eat all the baby poisonous snakes.
This is another. Let me go. Before I get distracted, let me finish the point I was making earlier. The two reasons why ball pythons are so common in the trade. One is their relatively cheap price, and the fact that, as you can see by the fact that I'm paying a lot more attention to you guys than I am to him, they're very placid, very docile. It's extremely rare to find a royal that is aggressive in nature unless it's threatened. Whereas, just like humans, some are nicer than others. Somehow certain species have a reputation for being very aggressive as a default setting, whereas others have a reputation for being mobile draft excluders. So royal pythons are very much the second category. They're normally, unless there's some extenuating circumstance, very, very docile, very easy to handle. They're quite happy to be picked up, moved around an awful lot. They don't object. The other reason is that what you're seeing here is what I would call a wild type, but what other people refer to as common, and I hate that word. But this is a common royal python. So the pattern that you're seeing, this sort of, let me see if I can get him in the camera decently. This black and gold sort of camouflage pattern of spots and dashes on his back there, that's the normal sort of coloration for a regular royal python. However, they're one of the snakes that show the most variety in the wild for different colorations and patterns. And specifically over the last sort of 20 to 25 years, snake breeders have capitalized on that with specific breeding programs that have now produced an enormous wealth of different patterns, colors, types of royal python. So they did for a while and continue to be very much the sort of designer snake of the snake keeping world, in the sense that if you don't like this pattern, you can get a royal python with pretty much any color or pattern if you know which breeder to go to
match your
so
shoes.
That's, yeah, pretty much. There used to be that you get 20 years ago, you'd have found maybe 6 different types of royal python. And by different types, I don't mean different subspecies. I mean, genetic morphs. We'll come on to that a bit later because morphs is a complicated subject with snakes. But sorry, lots. Yeah, he jumped a little bit there when I coughed. His little nerve bag, bless him. Yeah, so these guys are a great starter snake, I suppose. If someone came to me at the Reptile Society, for those of you who don't know, by the way, if you're watching tonight, I help run the local Reptile Society. I'm the vice chairman, so I get messaged constantly on a daily people asking about snakes and reptiles. And if someone says, what's a good starter snake for me? Or I have a young child who's really interested in snakes, but I don't want them to have anything that could outgrow them, become dangerous, what would you recommend? Answer number 1, ball pythons. Also rat snakes, corn snakes, because they don't have a tendency to grow to a massive size and they're not likely to be particularly aggressive. They all make fairly good starter snakes, if you like. Oh. not, you're going to have to come back around my neck because although he's only 4 foot long, he's a little chunky so he weighs quite a bit.
Now, I know they grow on average to about 6 foot. Any idea what the record is for a ball python?
What, sorry?
What the record growth is?
I believe they're not the biggest in the world. 6 foot is quite a large size for a ball python. That would be regarded as an abnormally large adult. Good size, it's 4 to 5 feet. Rarely much bigger than that. Certainly would be very, very unusual, if not freakishly unusual, to find one that exceeds 6 foot in length. There's again another reason why some people tend to go for it, because some people who like snakes aren't necessarily overly keen on big snakes. So these guys are a nice little compact size.
May I interrupt real quick? Is that a Netflix envelope?
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Wow.
They still do that?
No, that's
I
great.
stream and I DVD because I teach. Sometimes I need examples. So.
No, I'm perfectly good with seeing the envelope.
I didn't
It was
know they
just a
did
bit
that.
of nostalgia. I haven't had one for 3-4 years. So.
That's great.
No, kudos.
Yeah,
Okay.
cheers.
So, Kevin, what would be a second step, or do you want to talk about startup impact, or do you want to talk about a second stage snake? Where would you go after a ball python?
To be honest, I mean, it depends on your level of comfort. Some people would be quite happy to go to something ever so slightly bigger. Some people, once they've owned something like a ball python and they're used to how snakes move, how to handle one safely, are then quite comfortable to apply those techniques to a snake of almost any size. If you're not 100%, but you think you'd like to go something bigger than this, my first recommendation would be a boa constrictor.
Yes, Ed?
Oh, something bigger than that?
Oh.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I of course would heartily recommend that you go for a black mamba. But I understand they're only found in certain very secluded parts of Virginia. So.
Yes.
Where are you off to?
We don't call them black mambas. We call them African American mambas.
Oh, please. I saw him the other day, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Mamba lives matter.
Real quick, thank you for subscribing to that. Can you throw bits too? Show them how to
I'm
throw
working
bits.
on. Well, I have to go off of my phone, which is not very easy. But I subscribe for free because I am an Amazon Prime member.
Which is
So
a
I
very
don't pay any extra, and I watch videos for bits. You can too.
Bits are like throwing pennies at us. We like it.
Throw your pennies.
We're like the cheapest fucking strip pole dancers you'll ever find.
Ting.
Ian
Yeah.
says, locally, we have an annual rattlesnake roundup here in Knoxon, PA, Pennsylvania. Huge rattlers captured, stored, then released back into the wild afterwards. It's a big redneck gathering on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Now go get your ass bit by a rattlesnake.
I'm very pleased to hear that last part because rattlesnake roundups very much divide my opinion depending on what happens to the rattlesnakes. I'm not American. I've never been to a rattlesnake roundup, but I've read an awful lot about it because those of you who know me will know that I'm somebody who doesn't like to express an opinion on a subject unless I've researched it. And unfortunately, although thankfully information and teaching is beginning to reverse this, a lot of rattlesnake roundups were essentially seen as a culling exercise. They would catch as many rattlesnakes as possible and then they were killed, either outright or there's some horrific things done to them to show them off to people before they were disposed of. I've seen rattlesnakes that have had their fangs removed with pliers. I've seen snakes that have had their mouths sewn shut. Yeah, all kinds of stuff just to make the snake safe enough that somebody can then go and wave it under people's noses and go, look at how dangerous this rattlesnake is. The truth of it is, to anyone who knows anything about rattlers, that actually the farming communities welcome them with open arms because they keep down rodent pests. Mm-hmm. You've never seen a snake. No snake has ever broken into your barn and eaten your grain. That's because he's too busy outside eating all the rodents that would otherwise do so. So to kill vast quantities of rattlesnakes not only causes ridiculous damage to the ecosystem and is against everything I stand for in terms of the treatment of animals, it's stupid because it's counterproductive to the very communities that regularly hold these events, which have a tendency to be rural communities.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we learned on the prison show, sometimes what movies and TV show you isn't quite true.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you ran across a snake in the wild, but as in on your property, and if you ran across a rattlesnake in particular, if I didn't say, on your property, it's not likely just to coil up and get aggressive unless if you corner it and it can't, quote, run away. Is that correct?
I would say that's not only true of rattlesnakes, that's pretty much true of 100% of snake species.
Correct.
None of them hunt humans. None of them will come across a human in the wild and think, here is something I want to attack. Because the snakes biting and attacking things is the precursor to eating them afterwards. So they won't attack anything that they don't think they can consume as a meal, unless they're doing so in self-defense.
Right.
Ed?
As an outdoorsy person, that's something I've often said to a lot of people, because people that fear things in outdoors, snakes is often one of them. And like, the only snake I'm afraid of in the outdoors is the one that I don't see, and that's because I might step on it accidentally. Okay,
Right.
That's the
Exactly.
only one I'm afraid of. But here in our local park, there was a boom in rattlesnake population last year, and people were, I'm on the Facebook group, and oh my god, I'm the rattlesnake, yada yada yada. It's like, people, that's a good thing, because they eat, like you said, rodents which carry Lyme disease.
Which to these guys is nothing. I mean, their acidic digestive capability of nearly every snake is a phenomenal thing. Let me talk about snakes eating for a minute, because it's quite fascinating. When a snake consumes a meal, the wonder of the snake's biology really kicks into play. Now, you're talking about an animal that uses very, very little energy on a day-to-day basis. They're almost the opposite of human beings. We move constantly, talk constantly, travel
Except
around.
CrossFit snakes, they're constantly running, rowing, jumping.
But as human beings, we move constantly, every time apart from when we're asleep. So we're constantly, even in small amounts, burning up energy, which is why we need to eat and drink so often, because we're essentially replenishing the fuel we're constantly burning. Our boiler, if you like, continually needs to be stoked to keep our machine running. With snakes, they only expend energy when they need to. They sit very still when they're not hunting, especially because obviously they quite often need to bask to soak up heat because they're cold-blooded.
So they're like gamers.
Yeah, very much, but lacking the thumbs to use a control pad. So.
Poor bastard.
They use a trackball or a rollerball.
Yeah. So when a snake eats food and the digestive system and the stomach realizes that a meal is being consumed, several things happen in a snake's body. The production of bile accelerates nearly tenfold. So just like a human being, they have acidic bile, which aids with the chemical breakdown and digestion of food in their gut. If that bile was in their stomach consistently all the time in the quantity required to digest a meal without food in that stomach, it would give them acidic indigestion, the same as when we, for whatever medical reason, produce more bile than normal, and you get that horrible queasy kind of sicky feeling. So snakes don't produce bile at a very fast rate until a meal hits their stomach, and then it accelerates nearly tenfold. The kidneys and the liver both accelerate in terms of the speed with which they process waste. And so the whole digestive system almost goes into overdrive, which is how they can consume an animal and turn it into nothing but a soup in less than 48 hours, and that's including the bone. So it literally takes less than 48 hours for them to dissolve bone. That's how well their guts work when they're loaded with food. This is why if you see snake keepers discussing handling, you'll often see people say never handle for 48 hours after a feed. The reason for that is that in order to work much faster, their heart beats faster, their kidneys work faster, their liver works faster, and many of these organs swell up with the strain of working at this accelerated rate, which means if you're handling the snake, you can cause internal injuries by moving them whilst their organs are distended. So after a feed, we never handle for 48 hours as a minimum. And to be honest, I prefer to leave it 72 just to be on the safe side, because by that point, there's nothing left but soup.
Right.
And at that point as well, because it's then reduced to that point and it's nearly become waste, then the internal organs slow right back down again. So snakes, other than when they're feeding, exist in almost a semi-hibernating state, in the sense that their systems slow down, their movement slows down, and they don't expend any energy that they don't need to. They're actually incredibly efficient biological machines.
Nice.
Sir Skipper says water moccasins are aggressive and will chase you. Do you have those there?
No, we don't.
No, those are a North American snake from Florida all the way up to here. And Ed and I ran across them while kayaking.
Well,
And
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Florida,
We've kayaked in swamps with water moccasins. They just sort of, yeah, what the fuck you doing?
Yes.
most part, go ahead, Kev.
I was going to say, largely that's down to not necessarily aggression, but territorialism. You're in their territory. Now, humans have this sort of default setting of considering the entire planet as belonging to us. Doesn't. They were here long before us. You don't live out in the wilds, in the woods, or by the lake, or wherever that.
In the next 70 years, they might exist after us if we're not fucking careful with shit.
Yeah, it wouldn't be at all surprising. So yes, there are certain species of snake that give the appearance of being aggressive, in the sense that they will move towards you, not because they see a human and go, I hate you, I'm going to bite you, but they just see another creature, a human, a dog, it doesn't matter what you are, it's you're on my turf. I'm coming at you to scare you off. I'm going to make you move away from where I consider to be my home, because just seeing you in this area is the same as you trying to hit me with a stick or whatever. I see it as a threat, an attack on my territory. Some snakes are more prone to do that than others.
Ian says to Skipper, I've noticed that about copperheads. You ever seen water moccasins cruise across the water? Spooky. Spooky, but really cool. Terrifying if you're in the water.
I will say copperheads, just like Kevin was just saying, a copperhead, he will just lay there and let you move all around him. Most snakes around here will move off. A copperhead will not. He will just lay there and let you move all around. Oh shit, you're too close now.
Now, Kevin, in just a couple minutes, we're going to go into This Week in History. So, do you want to switch snakes, or are you sticking with one snake tonight?
Well, what I'm going to do is, while you guys go into This Week in History, I'm going to go and have a look. Now, the reason I say that is because all but one of my snakes in my collection are diurnal. So, in other words, they operate the same as humans on a day and night cycle. So, given that it's now 1 a.m. in the UK, a lot of them are in the middle of their, not sleep period necessarily, but their lights off rest period. So yes, I'm going to change snakes, but I'm going to go and have a look and see who's least likely to try to chew my face off.
I have a question, sir. When the snakes are sleeping, do they wear a little snake mask?
Absolutely.
A little nightcap.
Only on the nights when they're not wearing face packs.
Oh, I see.
Which, by the way, everyone, we are now, since we don't have music anymore because of our current setup, what we've decided to do is a few minutes before the top of each hour, we're going to take a refill break, letting people go refill, or the opposite of refill, if they need to. So we're not going to talk on the topic. We're not going to talk on this until 10 o'clock. So if everybody break, Kevin, go switch snakes. Anybody need a refill or other function?
I do.
I do.
I'll see if I can come back with something a little bit more chunky.
No.
Oh, by the way, just a quick demonstration before I put Otto away. I don't know if you can see, he's barely looped around my wrist there.
Yeah.
He's not making a full contact loop.
Right.
Wow.
Oh. Now you can straighten him out to an arrow like on Conan and shoot him at somebody.
He's just moved, but if I lean back a little bit, you might be able to see. He's supporting his entire body weight off of one tiny little hook around one of my thumbs. Hang on, I'll just drop a little bit. You see that? Can you see
Do you
that?
find that your trust relationship with the snake grows the longer you have it?
Yes, very much so. And part of that is to do with the snake's natural perception of whether or not you're a threat. So when you first get a snake, even if you handle it correctly, it's going to be a little bit wary of you. The longer you've had a snake, the more, and especially the more you actually take it out of the vivarium and handle it, the more it gets used to identifying you by your scent. They don't really have a recognition of individual humans by sight. They recognize you as being humanoid in shape, but they don't discern. They don't see me and go, "Oh, hey, that's Kev." They go, "Oh, hey, that's a human." But scent-wise, they come to learn the humans that inhabit the same locale as them. So the humans are in the same house. When you then handle them repeatedly over a period of time, provided you handle them in the correct fashion, they realize that you're not only not a threat, but that you will hold them securely, that they're not going to feel nervous or poorly supported or whatever. And yeah, it's essentially like any animal, a sense of earning trust with them. So the longer you've done that for, the more chilled out they are. I mean, this guy, he's quite happy if I just suddenly pick him up and move him. A lot of snakes don't like quick movement. They don't like being lifted up in the air. Snakes have a very sensitive sense of height, which not a lot of people realize. So one of the worst things you can normally do to a snake is to move it up or down in the air very quickly because it disorientates them. Travis.
Okay, Ed, what happened this week in history?
Oh, shit. This week in history, shit happened, y'all.
Happening right now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick with my trend of just doing happy-go-lucky shit that happened. March 13th, 1969, Herbie the Love Bug opens in theaters. Yeah, wow.
No, I took one weekend a few years ago and showed my son like all 4 or 5 Herbie movies, including the latest one, which was, hell, I guess almost 10 years ago now.
I remember seeing them in the theater as a kid, so I'm
Like drive-in theaters.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, they're not as good as we remember.
36 years ago, Richard Pryor's Live from Sunset Strip premiered in theaters.
Is that where he caught his hair on fire?
I think it was after that.
That was a Pepsi commercial with him, right?
That was the other black guy.
Was he black at the time, or had he become white?
No, he was black.
Yeah.
You know him, right?
Personally, yeah.
Yeah.
40 years ago, the Incredible Hulk TV series premiered.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
I have a couple seasons on DVD.
Oh, really?
I haven't watched them yet. I don't know why.
It's going to be bad. You know that, right?
Yeah, kind of like when we watched Wonder Woman. We need to be drinking and with a crowd of people. Or Greatest American Hero was the same way.
I remember being so excited when Xena was put on Netflix, and I sat down to watch it, and was like, wow, this is really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but may I say?
Yes, you may say.
Those shows, well, especially the original Wonder Woman, was intentionally made to be lighthearted, to be like a comic book, to be, exciting in that way. And I think Xena was too. And I agree. Sometimes I'm a little embarrassed. Got me through art school, but
Right.
it's all, and it's like this talk show. I looked forward to it all week because I could sit down on a Saturday and just relax and giggle and have a good time. And there's a sword fight always, so it's great.
I think Xena was Bruce Campbell's best role ever.
I don't know.
He was
I
in
really like
Hercules,
Ash. What was that?
He was in the Hercules series also.
Yes.
It's true.
Okay, so what else happened?
29 years ago, the TV series Cops premiered.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Where was the first episode? Was that Miami? I'm going to pretend it was because I lived down there.
Your
Probably
neighborhood.
Right. A lot of them were in Miami.
They were.
Early years. Yeah. 21 years ago, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Was that in the movie or the show?
That was a TV show.
You know what? I have on YouTube an interview with somebody who was. No, I don't. Was she in Buffy? She was in Buffy.
She was.
Okay, give me a second. I'm going
Was
to
it
go
the
to
band camp chick?
No,
One
No,
time.
I love her, though.
Claire Kramer, she played a goddess on there.
I'm going to grab the interview with her. And now, guys, if you do watch this interview, The sound is bad. We're working on the equipment for that. The sound is bad as in you get a lot of background noise. So, but I'll put that up.
But if you don't know who she is, go look her up. She didn't just act on Buffy and in movies. She's a director.
And by the way, Skipper, I'm not ignoring what you've typed out. I'm going to go back to it when we get back to the topic. But Ian, yes, this group does have a well-rounded out education experience. Absolutely. So Skipper, give me a few minutes and we'll get back to what you're talking about.
We did not forget about you.
Yeah. Okay. So, go on, Ed.
41 years ago, Winnie the Pooh premiered in theaters. I understand there has been a Christopher Robin movie.
Yeah, and I saw the trailer for it, and he's grown up. He works at a bank. He's in charge. The boss is putting pressure on him to fire 20% of his staff. He has to send his kids on vacation and his wife on vacation without him, and he's in the park kind of sweating it. And I think, what's his name that played Bilbo? Martin Freeman is playing him, I think.
Okay.
And then he hears a voice from behind him, and he turns around and who? And there's
Don't step in it.
the stuffed bear walking and talking behind him. It's not animated. It's
Oh no, because I know Christopher Robin was a real person, and his father wrote the books based on his playing.
He's bear?
a real stuffed bear. It looks like a toy
real
stuffed
stuffed
animal,
bear,
but
yeah.
it's walking, talking.
Oh, like Ted.
Well, probably a slightly different language pattern.
Probably less vulgar.
He's like, oh, Christopher Robin, I fucked your mom. What?
That's all I got for past events. Travis, you had something for current events?
Oh, okay. This is a few things here that I'm going to go through. I'm very excited about this. I did put those links up here so I can pull them up if you want. Australia is on track to become the world's first country to eradicate cervical cancer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Too bad everything else there will kill you.
But your cervix...
Funny you should say that. Want to take a wild guess which continent the next snake's coming from?
Ooh. Is it Antarctica?
China?
Yeah, correct. It's Antarctica, well known for its cold-blooded snakes. Yeah.
A fur snake. So, let's see here. Let me go. There's a massive vaccination program against papillomavirus, and I'm probably pronouncing it right. HPV. And that's 99% of the cases where a woman dies from cervical cancer. It's from that. Well, now that they're targeting that infection, the HP prevalence amongst Australian women aged 18 to 24 has dropped from 22.7% to 1.5% over the last 10 years.
They have the HPV vaccination here, but you can only get it up until age 14, 14 or 16.
So they're forecasting over the next 30 to 40 years, rate of cervical cancer will drop from around the current of 930 cases per year in Australia, which, by the way, a woman dies of cervical cancer every 2 minutes worldwide. But it'll drop from the 930 to just a few. So that's great news. Yay, science. Let's see. I think the next article will be, I don't know, is this one Ed or Andrea?
Those are you guys. It's not me.
Well, I know Andrea picked.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I know. I think that's something Ed should talk about.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Since neither of them want to do it, Ed sometimes calls me bro or brother, so I'll read it.
I found it.
You do it, bro.
Do it.
The headline is, "A torture for the eyes," end quote. Chinese moviegoers think Black Panther is just too black.
Or torture for the eyes.
He's going to put a link in Twitch chat because, wow. There you go.
Hold on. Ian commented, watching the Disney films with Buddy Hackett, I was shocked the first time I watched one of his, his stand-up routine's filthy. Fish fucker, one of the best ones. Buddy Hackett, dirty little man. I like him.
Had one of the funniest comebacks ever. Apparently, he got pulled over for speeding by a police officer, during the 50s and the 60s. And the officer said, walks up to the car and says, "Look, buddy, where's the fire?" And he says, "In your eyes, officer."
One of my favourites is the British comedian Jimmy Carr, who during one of his live performances gets heckled by someone from the audience. He just turns around and says, "Well done, sir. If you want my comeback, you'll have to scrape it off your mum's teeth."
Ha
So as we all know,
Here, and then he went here.
Black Panther is crossed the $1 billion mark globally.
Was it okay? I saw Black Panther and $1 billion, but I thought it was just trying to say it pushed movies over the $1 billion mark. Was it Black Panther itself?
This says taking in more than $63 million this weekend and helping it cross the $1 billion mark globally. So I believe, yes, it has made over $1 billion.
Good
worldwide.
for them.
Yeah.
Now, it did fill the seats in China, but online reviews, and they're equivalent to IMDb, basically they have a hint at subtle racism and discomfort with the all-black cast. Which I don't know.
It had two token white guys in it.
Where's the Asians?
Yes, Kev?
I was going to say, isn't that a bit like me criticising a martial arts film for having too many Chinese people in it?
It would be. It would be, but you've got to understand, they don't. We listen to a lot of stand-up comedy, and there was one stand-up comic that points out that Asians tend to be the most racist. Now, he's a comic, perhaps making a joke, but a lot of this comedy has
I think he was Asian too.
Don't preface that shit.
And there's another one that points out that he says the Olympics are racist except for the American team, because what other country can you look at and see black, Chinese, white, and every other culture in it besides America? You go to the Chinese team, they're all Chinese. And then he says, yeah, you're going to need a little Harlem in downtown Tokyo if you want to start competing. But, yeah, basically the Asian audiences have felt that the movie, and there's some of them that says every scene is dark. I think they saw a different version than me because there was a lot of very
Daylight.
Well, the dark people just made it just look dark, you know.
I guess so. It's,
Yes, Elizabeth?
Yes, Elizabeth.
Okay. Let's stir it up. Okay. How come it's okay to have movies like The Black Panther or shows like The Lion King, where it's a predominantly all-black cast, and people say, oh, well, you know, they're from Africa. Of course it has to be black. But we can watch Thor Ragnarok, and they have a Latino Valkyrie. I don't remember the Latinas being big
and a black guy.
Nordic culture.
Heimdall is portrayed by I forgot his name.
Idris
Idris.
Or, you know,
Idris Elba.
I was just wondering that, you know.
Because all the people in Asgard are another fucking planet, okay? It's not this earthly bullshit that we've been teaching each other for the last 2-3 centuries or so. It's another fucking planet.
Now, there isn't actually a cultural...
Yes, I'll take that. I mean, I like the passion especially, so I'll go with it.
Culturally,
but I think it's an interesting point, though, you know. You've hit true color blindness when the Lion King cast has white people or Chinese
It does.
people.
Matthew Broderick was the star.
That was the movie.
Yes.
That was...
You didn't clarify.
Okay, the show. Like,
You
but
know, you're talking
also, to counter argument myself...
series or the
it's not-
stage production?
Excuse me?
Which Lion King are you talking about? The animated or the stage production?
The stage.
Okay.
You know, and another thing, if I can
Black
counter...
people are better at acting like animals.
It's like... in a lot of terms, it doesn't really matter because film isn't real. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there.
No, I see what you're stirring the pot there with. And yeah, we have definitely, and Ed and I have discussed this a lot, added tokenism to what reasonably should be an all-white cast, such as Thor Ragnarok with the Norse gods and whatnot. But on the other hand, and this is... I don't have a problem with it either way. When they cast Hermione with a black girl in the UK for the stage production, and people are like, what?
Why not?
And J.K. Rowling is like, well, I never mentioned her skin color.
Mm.
It's fine.
People just assume.
Yeah.
Come your tit.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the great comet of 1812 based on War and Peace. It was a musical. It's fantastic. If anybody wants to go see it, it's incredible. And I was blessed to see it with Josh Groban. So it was a heck of an experience. And they're introducing all the main characters, and the main lead comes out, and she's fur and this beautiful white gown, and she's a young black woman, or African American, however we say. And I remember thinking, Black Russian, okay, And then she opened her mouth, and everybody gasped, and that was it. She was incredible. So it was beautiful. So way, I'm on both sides of the fence.
When it comes to African American, I do want to clarify. People from South Africa could be blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white skin.
They're still African American.
All the South Africans I know are blonde hair. And
I think it's great that the Chinese are scared of black people. Okay, because if we ever end up going to war with China, the United States just needs to put together a division or a battalion of black soldiers, and we got that shit in the bag, man.
Now, am I the only person at that point when you said putting together a battalion of black soldiers picturing the scene from the South Park movie? You guys will be Operation Human Shield. The rest of you will be Operation Darkness.
By the way, here's another part from that article. It's yet another reminder of China's limited exposure to race. Last month, in the annual Lunar New Year TV Gala by Chinese state broadcaster CCTV, producers had a Chinese actress in blackface and cast a black actor to play a monkey. In October, a Chinese museum hosted an exhibition titled This is Africa that juxtaposed images of black people to animals, including monkeys and cheetahs. I think it'd be cool to be juxtaposed to a cheetah. I don't know why that would be offensive at all. It's a problem with cheetahs? Is that anti-black?
Mm-hmm. Just a reminder, there's worse places to live than America. Although, let me throw this in there. One of my students on Thursday, we're doing the zombie movie, and I'm allowing the students to completely do their own makeup, costumes. We provide everything, but then they come on set and we just shoot these scenes. One of my young black students had done his face mostly green and then covered it all with black. And he comes on camera, and I'm standing there, and I think, well, go, buddy, go. And he's a good actor, so it was fabulous.
I look forward to the day when they can do that and nobody yells racism because it was done for a reason, as opposed to nobody goes there mocking. They go, oh, look, they did something.
Hey, nobody cared when Robert Downey Jr. did it, so.
Yeah. That was a different time, a different world.
Dude, dude, trust is another dude.
By the way, apparently OJ kind of confessed to the murder of his wife, Nicole Simpson, and Ron Coleman.
Did it.
Huh?
Did
it. Yeah, there was a interview where he starts out speaking passionately, saying it's hypothetically, this is hypothetical, and then as the interview goes on, there's a point in time where he quotes, I remember I grabbed the knife, and then checks himself, realizing he's talking in first person instead of third person.
Instead of about his friend Charlie.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's interesting there, little slip. Or
does anyone actually believe that he didn't do it?
I watched one of the Netflix comedy specials recently. I'm trying to think who it was. Black
Wanda
comedian,
Sykes?
anyway. No, it was a black comedian, and he basically said that Obama winning the presidency was the most excited black people have been since the OJ trial, where he was found innocent.
I wasn't.
The only difference was the only difference. No, he said the only difference was that we all knew that fucker did it.
pretty much. Let me check comments here.
He had the jury to his house for a party immediately after the decision.
So this would be the ideal moment to tell one of my terribly poor taste off-color jokes. What's the difference between O.J. Simpson and Superman? O.J. walked.
Oh.
But
The last bit teeters on the edge of the death announcements. Stan Lee, a few days ago, went into the hospital with really bad flu symptoms. And people are concerned whether or not he's going to ever come out.
He hasn't been doing well.
Now,
Poor guy.
on the other hand, basically people have been stripping apart his fortune right under his nose. And there's like money donated to a cause that he had nothing to do with, and unauthorized checks, and 1.4 million lost due to a technical issue with the wire transfer, stuff like that. So yeah, not only is he in the hospital, he's like far from being destitute, even with Black Panther crossing the $1 billion mark.
How can you do that to someone? That is just shitty.
does he have children?
He has one who basically has never known being poor and goes around spending money like it's nothing. And somebody, let's see, who said this? According to a family insider, JC, that's the daughter, she's never met a con man she doesn't like, you know? Stan is not a whole lot better. Maybe their contemporaries and friends are all dead, and now they just have a bunch of hangers-on and sketchy-ass people hanging around. I have the feeling that he's been taken by everyone in the world. Basically, it sounds like they're nice people who do help others, and because of that, they're getting fucked bad now.
You know, I'd really like to see it happen if Stan Lee passes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to see a movie made of his life featuring cameos of every superhero he's ever had a film made by.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be neat.
His latest cameo in Jessica Jones is actually on a billboard quoting it. He was like a lawyer success story, and the lawyer's name is one of the famous characters he used to talk about in his editorials in the comic books. I forget the name. I'd have to look it up.
I don't know about that.
It's not Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago.
That's
though.
my alias.
Ed, what were you going to say there, buddy?
Getting back to somebody said worst places to live in America. Ian's got an answer for that. You mean like France?
Score one with the Brit.
Okay, what about birthdays?
Birthdays.
Or
March 14th, 1879. That really, really smart dude, physicist Albert Einstein. That was his birthday. Or will be his
He liked
birthday.
to be called Allie.
Allie?
That's what he liked.
Okay, cool.
How do you know?
Every time I had him over for dinner, he's
Not
like,
Bert?
no, not Ernie, Allie.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Rock Hard, like Stein.
March 14th.
Stein is rock in German, sir.
March 14th, 1933. Composer Quincy Jones.
I didn't know he was that old.
I didn't think he was that. Well, I should have, because he and Ray Charles kind of started in the music biz together. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
March 15th, 270. That Santa dude, St. Nicholas. Yeah, him. That was his birthday.
Oh, that's funny.
He looks great for his age.
Yeah, doesn't he though? March 16th, 1959. Rapper Flavor Flav.
He had the big watch, right?
No.
Clock.
Yeah.
I have a graph here. Here, but in the camera. Come on.
March 17th, 1919. The unforgettable Nat King Cole.
Love his voice.
Yeah. March 17th, 1992. Actor John Boyega. Aha!
That's Finn from the new Star
The new
Wars
Star
movies,
Wars.
the Black Stormtrooper, and also quite a few other roles he's getting now. That
don't
he's
know
in the
their
new
real names.
Pacific Rim,
Yeah,
Okay.
the Pacific Rim. Yeah.
and you know who I saw in a movie. Okay, you know who Poe Dameron is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That same actor, Oscar Isaacs, played Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, he did.
Played, yeah, He also played in Sucker Punch as Blue, the orderly who is out of order. And it's done collarbone.
This is the stage name for an Asian stripper. Pacific Rim.
I don't want to hear about her job. What else you got there, Ed?
All right,
Part
personal
two.
birthday shout-outs. My brother from another mother, Buck Carter. The most lovely Karen Baxley. Schoolmate Teresa Prescott Jones. And their birthdays were this past weekend. Later this week, another schoolmate, Kathy Wingfield. The beautiful Shannon Clark Jolly. And my little baby leprechaun, Katina Chambers. Happy birthday, baby. That's my daughter.
Hey.
His name. Did you choose that first name?
No, I did not.
I'm just curious what the background of that is. Is it a
It's one of those
made-up name?
black
Is
people
it a family
things,
name?
okay? God.
Well, that's what I'm checking on.
We just one too many consonants. We just left the rest out.
Okay. And for me, anybody else got birthday shout-outs before I throw mine out there?
Yeah, I've got a couple. In a couple of days' time on the 15th, I've got two friends of mine, both who I've listened to the show in the past. I don't know if they're going to catch this one, although they might when I tell them I shouted them out. Jimmy Alabaster and Ruby Farmer both have birthdays in a couple of days. Ruby is my best friend Kirk's daughter, and Jimmy is the nicest, most lovable hippie you've ever met, constantly dressed in bright yellow. He's known as Yellow Jimmy to his mates. So Yellow Jimmy and Ruby, happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday, Jimmy and Ruby.
It sounds like he could play the part of, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name, from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, the one guy that didn't put in either of those movies, The Force of Nature.
Tom Bombadil.
Did he play Tom Bombadil?
Jimmy would be an amazing Bombadil if Bombadil had dreadlocks.
I could see it with, yeah, sure. Okay. Anybody else?
It's not my birthday.
Okay. For me, this week, a couple of friends having birthdays. Aaron iJams, who I almost had to do book covers, turns 38. Ken Dixon, a pipe and cigar buddy. Author David B. Coe. Stephen Saranich, who I don't know personally, but he puts great jokes up on Facebook and has a handlebar mustache. Love the guy. Christopher Wheeler turns 37. Bradley Howard of Pirates Royale has a birthday this week.
Jeez.
Mike Thompson, who we had on the show just a few days ago, or weeks, months,
A while ago.
Yeah.
This year.
The young kid author. Tabby Fisher, who I've known for years. Will Brown, that's the steampunk guy locally who hangs out with the great. Andrew Allenbeck turns 46. Becky Wellstead out of New Zealand. And last but not least, Stephen Clifton is turning 35. Happy birthday to everybody who we like.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Happy birthday.
Let's have cake.
Okay. We ready to go on with the topic?
Go on. Go on.
What?
Thank you.
Patty cake?
Reference to MarsCon or MystiCon or MarsCon.
Okay, I'm going to read Skipper's comment back here that we didn't have time for before we went into this week. Had a Diamondback hitch a ride in his truck. Fortunately, he was down in the step well on the passenger side of the cab, so Jamin was able to pull over and jump out in the bed of the truck to open the passenger door and let him out. Definitely a territory issue, but they aggressively defend where most don't, referring back to water moccasins. He also says copperheads are fairly laid back, except when they're in the passenger seat of a Lincoln Town car being driven by a 70-year-old woman on the way to church. Thank God.
That's quite possibly one of my favourite ever quotes related to snakes. I might have to screen cap that and use it somewhere.
Thank God he bit my Motorola walkie, which was in a chest harness. Also, thankfully, I had already used the restroom about 5 minutes earlier.
I want to read his comment from earlier, much further back. I love snakes when they are breaded and fried. Now, being a country boy, I gotta admit, he's got something here. Sorry, Kevin.
I take no offence. It's a well-known fact that not just in America, but certainly very, very predominantly in Asia, snakes are very much seen as a food source.
No, I see a name on the viewer list. I'm not going to call out that I do.
It's a cool name, though. I want to call it out.
It is, but I just want to let them know if you're a new listener, we're an adult show with adult topics, adult humor, and adult language. Just letting you know. Okay. Kevin, what you whip out this time, big guy?
Right, this one could be interesting.
Uh-oh.
I will attempt to field questions. I will attempt to field questions and talk to you, but he's in a mood tonight, so this could be a little bit like trying to handle water. Next up, I've got Septimus, who is my Australian carpet python. Carpet pythons fascinate me. They always have done. And so I very much wanted a carpet python for my collection. What I ended up with was a ridiculously scatty nutball of one, and he's quite a large snake as well. So if you hear clunking sounds, it may be him knocking my headset off, or possibly him attempting to throttle me. Bear with me a second.
Everybody hang on. This is going to get excited.
We'll talk quietly,
the last
the
guy was about 4 foot long. This guy's between 7 and 8 feet, and much, much quicker. He's much less inclined to sit still, which is why this could turn out to be interesting. Hey, Seps. Just bear with me a second. I've just got my hand in the box that he's in at the moment. Like I said earlier, I'm just letting him get used to it. I've got my hand in the box. Get to the board, Elizabeth. I'm just attempting to let the guy know that I'm here.
And we saw him lube up just before,
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Whoa.
Did he get you?
Hey, buddy. Nope.
Okay.
He's just not wanting to sit still much. Now, this is Septimus. Say hi, Seps. Get you on camera. There we are. Very similar looking in appearance, but if I lean back just to demonstrate, it's a much bigger snake.
Ed, click on Kevin's picture. It'll make him take up full screen, and the viewers can see the snake better.
Wait a minute.
You say that. If he'll sit still long enough.
Kevin needs a full screen just to see a snake, huh?
You're not wrong, fella. Keep still, you little wriggler. Now, these guys are phenomenally clever snakes. They're incredibly strong for their size. There's not an ounce of weight on them that isn't muscle. They're also incredibly quick, incredibly agile. And I don't know if you can see very well, but he is not wanting to sit still at all. These guys are arboreal snakes, so in the wild they will come down to the ground to defecate, to breed, and if necessary to hunt, but they spend the vast majority of their life in trees. They're capable of...
Why are they called carpet snakes then?
Carpet python. Because when they're in breeding season and they come down to the ground to breed, they camouflage themselves in the carpet of the jungle, so they have a tendency to burrow into undergrowth, loose leaf litter, dead twigs, where this pattern that they have aids them very much. This stripy pattern hides them in the dappled shade of undergrowth underneath the tree canopy. Oh, you're going to go and have a look. So go and say hi to everyone. Say hi, everybody. Now, these guys from... I'll see if I can show you his tail tip. You can see in relation to my hand, the tip of his tail is actually very, very thin, but with just one loop around my hand, the guy can support his entire 8 foot length and a weight which is about 4.5, 5 kilos. So they're very, very strong. Here we go. Look, see, he's got a loop around me there. There he is.
Wow.
Quite happily supporting his top. Now, they will eat rodents, just like a lot of snakes will. Small mammals, voles, guinea pigs, anything of that sort of size that resembles that, any kind of small mammal. But these guys in particular have one very interesting trait, which is that in the wild, they will hang from a tree branch, very much like he was hung from my wrist a minute ago, and they will coil themselves up ready to strike and then sit perfectly still, and they're actually capable of taking small birds and bats off the wing in midair.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
Amazing.
They're also incredibly clever at climbing. Now, if he'll let me actually get to my mouse, I'm going to post a link in the Twitch chat to a YouTube video that will show you guys just how clever these guys are when it comes to climbing trees. They need no grip whatsoever. They can climb a perfectly smooth surface just by using the fact that they can constrict very toughly around the particular item that they're climbing. He's also got very strong grip. There we go. There's a link I've just popped up in chat that will show you one of these guys observed by somebody who caught one on video climbing a tree. And it will show you the incredible method they use, where they will wrap a coil around, send the upper half of their body up the tree, loop their neck around and create a coil, and then gradually lift their body a coil at a time, and then repeat that. And they can climb straight up sheer surfaces of up to 20 or 30 feet to reach the tree canopy when there's no branches for support.
And if I may, real quick, Kat says, "Aw, he's so she's so squirrely. I love him." And Ian says, "I watch Safari YouTube channel regularly, and they try their damnedest to avoid the snakes. Mostly green and black mambas, but occasionally they run into two-step adders. Run-ins with the dangerous snakes sideline the safari stream for a few minutes. Much respect to those fangs."
Absolutely, especially when you're dealing with venomous snakes, especially if you're out on a safari. One of the things you have to bear in mind is how far is the distance to your nearest shot of anti-venom. Now, there are very few snakes in the world whose venom is so powerful that you have less than an hour to react. So quite often, if you can reach anti-venom in time, you can counteract the effects of the venom of the snake. But when you're out on safari, your nearest field hospital might be 50, 60 miles away. And that's assuming they have the correct kind of anti-venom in stock. Now, in somewhere like the African outback, that's much more likely. But you certainly need to bear that in mind. It's no good being bitten by a venomous snake if the venom's going to overcome you before you can reach an anti-venom shot. In fact, many safaris carry a couple of anti-venom shots with them.
I think you generally say it's no use being bit by a venomous snake ever anywhere.
That is just really cool to watch it climb the tree. Oh my god.
They're awesome, aren't they?
Oh my goodness.
Calming down a little bit, but I mean, even now, as he's starting to get more chilled out with being handled, he's almost constantly on the move. Well, these guys are very much predators in the wild. They're hunters. They constantly like to be aware of their surroundings. Oh, hello. They'll try and climb somewhere high, so if you're holding them as a human being, very often they won't like to be held. They'll try and get up around your shoulders or onto your head, because their natural instinct is to seek the highest point where they've got a good vantage point.
Oh, it works out well with you, because you've got a very high vantage point.
Well, this is true, yeah. The only problem is that on my shoulders, they then have a tendency to make a break for things like light fittings. And being nearly 8 foot long, this guy, if he can extend the first 2/3 of his body straight out, there you go, around the neck, there we go, off you go, on his own little wander. So for a 10-foot snake, you're talking about a snake that can extend his body from a sitting position 6 foot into the air. So they've got quite a reach from wherever they're sat to the next point of contact. Come here. Good boy. Yes. Showing
Now,
up with the camera.
Keep discussing it, or do you want to put him away while we talk?
I'll keep doing that for a couple of minutes, because when I put him away, that'll be it. I'll be done with him and won't put him back. So I'll
any
keep
questions?
him out. Yeah, anyone got any carpet python questions?
I asked mine.
Okay. I think we know everything about him.
Whoa. Come here. He's definitely a character, this guy.
Now, is that snake born from eggs or live birth?
The majority of snakes, including this particular species, are born from eggs. There are a few exceptions, boa constrictors being the notable one, that do give live birth. But I'd say close to 90% of all snakes are egg layers.
Do you own any that are not?
Well, one of the species, as I just said, one of the most common species that is a live bearer are boa constrictors, and I own, Christ, I had to count them, 4 boa constrictors.
And how many snakes do you own total?
Currently, 10 at the moment.
And the largest one you own now is?
Possibly making an appearance later.
Oh.
Ah.
So we'll save that for later in case that happens.
We'll describe him in a bit if he's in a mood and doesn't want to come out and play, but I'll wait and won't talk about him just yet in case I can get him out in a bit.
Now, is that the largest snake you have ever owned?
Yes, I used to also have his mate who was slightly larger than him, but sadly she passed at the end of last year. Oh, you having a yawn? Oh, you missed it. Yeah. He just yawned. They will do it occasionally. It's not actually a yawn as such. They use it as thermal ventilation. If they're feeling a little bit warm, they hold their mouths open to let heat dissipate. And occasionally, just in the same way that you and I might stretch for, oh, I feel like a good stretch. They'll stretch their mouth open to do that. Unfortunately, I just failed to get him back on camera in time because he just gave a massive yawn.
Ed, I leave it to your discretion if you want to turn the screen back to like it was or leave Kevin with the
We'll
large.
leave it while he's squirming around.
Okay.
And the snake.
Oh, we do have a question from Kat. Kevin, do you feel like with your snakes they understand you at all or are calmer if you talk to them, etc.? Sort of like how anthropomorphize, I know that word, damn it, anthropomorphize most animals we consider pets.
We have a tendency to do that a lot more with snakes, actually, because to our brains, snakes are a very difficult animal to process. It's why so many people are afraid of snakes and also spiders. Any animal that vaguely resembles a humanoid shape, and by that I mean things like cats and dogs. Obviously, they don't look like humans, but they do have a body, a torso, a head, and 4 limbs in the same way that we do. Snakes have no limbs. Spiders have 8 limbs, 2 body sections, 8 eyes. So with the human brain, those animals are much harder to understand in point of reference to ourselves. So we have a tendency to anthropomorphize those more. And by that, what we mean, for anyone who doesn't understand the word, is to assign human characteristics to them that they don't actually possess. Yeah. As much as I love snakes, I'm also a science-based person. So the honest truth is that snakes lack what we call higher functioning neural pathways. So they're capable of base emotions, fear, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm scared of you, I'm angry. What they can't do is express or understand complex emotions such as trust, love, affection. So do they recognize owners? Yes, they recognize your scent, especially if you've handled them regularly. Do they care about you? Not in the slightest. They're not capable of it. They have no love
They know
for
you bring food.
I see people saying, oh, my snake loves me. He's really fond of me. When I come home, he always comes to the front of the tank to the glass to say hello to me. No, he sees movement and wonders if it's food. Doesn't give a damn whether it's you or not. Doesn't care about you. He doesn't love you. But humans will assign them these human characteristics because to them it makes them easier to understand.
You sound like a public school teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to act like they're pets also.
Yeah, so they do acknowledge their owners. They do recognize your scent. So, for example, if you were to try and pick this snake up, he would be far more whippy, far less comfortable, far less. I mean, now that I've had him out for a few minutes, as you can see, he's kind of stopped his constant whipping around to a certain extent. If it was anyone but me, someone whose scent he didn't recognize, not only would it be incredibly difficult to actually pick up in the first place, but he wouldn't sit still for a minute because he wouldn't trust you. Okay. So they become slightly more comfortable around you sometimes, but they don't go, oh, it's Dad, I like him, because they just don't recognize, they lack the higher functioning neural pathways that enable them to process information to that kind of level.
Tell us about the onomatopoeia, the hissing noise that we always assign to snakes.
It's a complete misnomer, and I suspect possibly based off of the sound of the rattle from a rattlesnake, which is one of the most iconically recognized noises associated with snakes. You always expect a snake to make a kind of sound. It's actually not at all sibilant like that. It's very much like someone clearing their throat. It's not a bark. It's not a short sound like that. It's drawn out, but it's much more like someone huffing or attempting to kind of hack something out of the back of their throat. This is not accurate. I don't profess to do a great snake impression, but the sound is more like than a
Right.
hiss.
And what does that noise represent? What is that? When do they do it?
Sometimes if they move, did you just hear that then?
Yeah.
That's not that's not him hissing. He's actually exhaling. Now, the reason is that snakes only have one perfect lung. Evolution has led them over time. They were originally two-lunged. Snakes. People always think that lizards evolved from snakes. It's actually the other way around. Snakes evolved from lizards. They lost the use of their legs. They still have, and I won't be able to show you on this guy because if I start trying to poke around his bits, he'll go nuts at me.
Right.
But they will occasionally exhale, and the reason for that is that where they only have one lung, which is developed to be very long and lay along the length of their body, and the other lung has atrophied to roughly 10% of its original size, which means that they will at certain times lay on that lung. So in order to ease the pressure on that lung, they will breathe out consistently. So if you can hear what I can hear in my left ear now, which is kind of like I don't know if you can hear that. It's kind of like a slow air leak from an inner tube. That's actually him releasing pressure on his lungs by breathing out. It's not a hiss. So if people have heard that, again, that's another sound they make that can be misconstrued for the stereotypical sound of a snake.
Right. By the way, a couple questions or comments and a question from Ian here. Most cold-blooded animals just recognize us as food providers and a source of body warmth. That's about it. And then he asks, do carpet pythons get big enough to take young monkeys like the rock python? And then he has another comment after you answer that question.
Do they get big enough to take small monkeys? Theoretically, yes. Are they anywhere near as big as an adult rock python? No. With an African rock python, you're talking about a snake that can reach 16, 18 feet in length.
Wow.
These guys normally top out around 10 to 12 feet, so they're a little bit smaller than that. They're also much more slender in the body, although this guy probably looks a little bit chunky sat on me. An African rock python would be 2, 3, maybe 4 times the thickness of this.
It's always
You look
amazing.
fabulous. It looks like your snake is your headset. That looks fabulous.
If he gets any closer to my left ear, it will be.
Ian says the hissing sound we attribute to them has been supposed to be the sound of them moving through the underbrush, which I can see that because as they do move, it makes a bit
Yeah,
of
I can see that. They do have a tendency to look for loose leaf litter, something that they can burrow into. Obviously, they've got no hands to dig or move obstructions aside. So for camouflage, they'll look for loose leaf litter, twigs, stuff on the ground that's of a small enough size that they can use their head to wedge their way underneath it. So yeah, I can very much see the sound of the heavier bodies moving through leaf litter to create a kind of sound. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so it looks like he's found himself a good perch where he's happy.
Well, funny enough, someone mentioned body warmth a minute ago. That is probably the only reason he's sat still at the moment is the fact that I'm actually quite warm this evening because I've got a jumper on and he's around the back of my neck, and my head are the hottest part of my body, which is why he's gravitated to it.
Oh, I wouldn't say that's the hottest part of your body, big guy.
I'm going to pop him back in his box, but before I do, I'm going to try very quickly. If I can get the right angle, I'm just going to attempt to try and demonstrate the size of this guy. So I'm going to try and move the camera back a little bit. That's it. Be a good boy and show the nice people. Oh, there we go. Suddenly getting grumpy with me.
Wow.
Mm.
Doesn't like that.
You see, as I was
Crikey.
saying earlier, he's just got that one loop around me and he's suspending his entire body weight off of that. He's an incredibly strong animal for the thickness of his body. He's, I suppose, about 3, maybe 4 inches thick at the fattest part of his body. But at the tip of his tail, which is the bit that's wrapped around my wrist at the moment, he goes down to literally less than an inch thick. And it's that part that's supporting his whole body weight.
How much does he weigh?
About 5 kilos.
Okay.
It's deceptive. He's very, very dense and muscular for his size. So although he doesn't look very thick, he weighs a lot more than you'd expect him to, which is another reason I'm going to pop him away. Yeah, back in the back in the rub you go. Sorry, reptile owner reference there. A rub, in case anyone's wondering, really useful box.
I know what a rub is.
Yeah, big plastic box with a snap-on lid. You will go back in the box.
That's my safe word.
Now,
Yeah,
the
I'm
problem,
good.
there he goes. The other problem here is that in order to try and get him into the box, I actually have to convince him to undo this lock around my wrist.
Oh.
So now we begin the wrestling. Go on, go on, go on, go on. Good boy. Yeah, there you go. And boom. 3, 2, 1. He's back in the box. Good lads. Go on.
Nice. Hey, look, somebody named One Pickle Lady has joined us on Twitch.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Pickle Lady.
You're welcome.
Whew, that was trickier than it looked.
Now, since we're almost at the top of the hour,
Got about 10 minutes. In about 5 minutes,
refill?
we're going to do a quick refill break, and then we're going to go into the third hour.
I need the refill.
I forgot that snake's name.
Cool.
Septimus.
Septimus.
There is many of my snakes have unusual names, and there is a reason behind all of them. It's one of the questions I get asked a lot when I do public displays and I introduce the snakes to kids or whoever it is I'm giving the talk to. Why is he called that? In Septimus's case, it's because he was our 7th snake.
Was he
Nice.
was he named after the character in Stardust?
No, although my wife loves that, so she approved of the name. When I said, "Hey, what about Septimus?" She went, "I love it."
There you go.
Oh, sure. When you do a public display of your snakes, you get awarded. Travis just gets arrested.
I know, and
Unless it's winter, then I just get pointed and laughed at.
I'm quite often showing mine to a bunch of small children as well. So.
I try to show mine to the big kids.
Septimus.
It is something I do a lot of, actually. Whenever I get time away from work to do it with the Reptile Club, is we will go to schools, scout groups, youth organisations, or adult groups as well, and take along a few of the snakes. We try to discourage everyone wanting to crowd round and handle them, partly because you need to constantly monitor the fact that everyone's anti-backing all the time, but we certainly take them out so that people who never normally come in contact with snakes get to come up close to one, observe one moving around, so they learn that actually so many of the sort of preconceptions you have of snakes from the media, from movies, are wildly inaccurate, and actually they're a lot of fun.
Maybe after we get back, you can tell us a little bit about your lizard, too, because I love that guy. And he loved me. He came up to the glass. He was so happy to see me every time.
He's moved now. The
Totally.
tank he was in my lounge when you visited
Right.
currently stands dormant. He's moved into his retirement home now. As I said, I was been planning for a while. Bless him, Johnny, my bearded dragon, another resident of Australia. He's now in his twilight years, and so in order to keep him safe, he's moved into a slightly smaller, more terrestrial vivarium to see out the last few years of his life. So the vivarium that he was in my lounge is actually going to be Septimus's new home. So the guy who's just been on camera is now coming down to the big tank in the lounge soon.
He won't be bothered by all the extra movement of guests and whatnot.
Absolutely not, because he will be inside his viv, so he will be, in a sense, in his own territory.
Gotcha.
So moving nearby, he'll be watchful of it, he'll be wary of it, but he won't be bothered by it per se. He'll just monitor it. As long as no one opens the door and encroaches into his space, to him it's just a mild distraction, not a threat.
And he'll get acclimated and learn how to ignore the knowing it's not food source or whatever.
Well, what we'll do is for probably the first 2 to 3 months after we make the move, which will be in a couple of weeks' time, we won't handle it. What we would do, the only time we'll interact with him inside his territory will be to offer food, so that he has, as you say, time to become acclimatized to the new territory, to the change, to the view, the area surrounding his territory, and then only then after that will I then begin to handle him again. So basically, it's not so much that I'm concerned for my own safety. It wouldn't be the first time I've been bitten, or the last, probably, touch wood. it's to do with not stressing him out any more than I have to. It's enough for him that he's got to go through this change of being in a different territory, a different location, without me constantly trying to pull him out and pull him around at the same time. So he'll have a few months off from public shows and also from being handled at home by me.
Right. Okay, let's take a few minute break so everybody can get some refills and everything, and we'll gather back. I should be able to stay here and keep everybody mildly entertained by making faces at my cats.
I'm not the cat.
Are you going to refill?
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy a cigarette, and then I'm going to see if I can go and wrestle with Lucifer.
Alrighty.
That one, that we might have to try something in a minute, actually, before I try that. We may have to see how well you guys can get on with talking to me without my headset plugged in. If it's causing terrible feedback, I'll try and use the headset. But with Lucifer, I could be on a hiding to nothing trying to keep this thing on my head. So,
right. Well, you could always take it off and set up the mic, and we just can't verbalize to you.
This is true.
Yeah, but we should still be able to hear the basics of what you're saying. So, oh, you're going to have a cigarette right there. For some reason, I'm used to here. Everybody goes outside to smoke nowadays.
Oh, I'm going to take 5 minutes.
Well, there's snow and it's freezing in here. Cold.
I should also go and apologise to Fred because I've got the poor bugger shut in the kitchen at the moment.
Poor Fred. So, who's still with us?
Yeah, is anybody still here in the Twitch stream?
Anybody out there?
I feel like a Pink Floyd song coming on.
Yeah, I know. No.
Anybody got any more questions you want to ask where I'm slightly more being able to pay attention to you and less on not getting throttled?
Or comments or off topic stuff.
Whatever.
But, Kat, sorry we don't see you more often. We're glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Kat.
Jonathan was in earlier, but he bailed without a goodbye, so
boo.
I don't know what went on there, but
maybe it's snowing and it got cut off.
By the way, everybody, if you want to know, Von Hegner, who's a regular viewer, has his own YouTube channel now, and it has some interesting stuff on that if you want to pick that up. Devnall, you've been really quiet tonight. What's up with you, man? You around?
You in the house, Devnall? Give us a shout.
Okay, yeah, it still says, the Skipper family's here, as well as Sivart, who we had on the show, I think October of last year. No, probably earlier than that, July or August.
A while ago.
Remind me, haven't we got a listener who's in Florida somewhere?
That would be Devnall.
That is Devnall, yeah. I thought that was White Rackerbell. So he's actually on the site, or within the same state as one of the most interesting cases of snakes being an invasive species in a country they don't belong in.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of pythons, right?
We'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute because hopefully the next guest will be one of those very snakes. Well, not one of those very snakes, but the same species. Hey, Devnall's in the house.
I'll be interested for that conversation because I grew up in South Florida, so to have, and this wasn't going on at that point in time. We had Cuban anoles who were starting to become invasive. We had a few other reptilian species that were coming into the area, as well as a few avian species who were not native, but they had gotten loose during a storm. And iguanas are another one. The green iguanas are now all over South Florida. And you could stop. There are certain lots where they feed, and you can stop there and count 20, 30, 40 of them at any given time.
One of the world's most nice snakes. Thanks, Devnall. One of the most prolific breeders of phenomenally colored iguanas is a very well-known herpetologist, field expert, and snake breeder who's based in Florida, a gentleman by the name of Tom Crutchfield. To give you an example, I can go to a pet shop and pick up an iguana for about 80 to 100 pounds. I'm assuming, well, I don't know what the exchange rate is now, but it's fairly similar, isn't it? It's close to 1 to 1 at the moment.
Well, close, yeah.
Yeah, so to give you a rough idea, a Crutchfield Crimson will cost you $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah, but they are phenomenal. They are electric reds and oranges, and by electric I mean they're incredibly bright, almost fluorescent shades of the color. It's taken a long time to purify the particular bloodline that demonstrates those colors down to the point where he's got these phenomenal creatures, which is why you pay so much money for them.
Right now, just so you know, the exchange rate, £1 is equivalent to $1.39 US.
Okay, slightly better than I thought it was, given that we've destroyed our economy with Brexit, but that's another show.
I guess it might mean ours is getting a little better, or yours is just getting worse, and ours hasn't.
It's because ours is getting terrible.
I have a comment for you there, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Ian, what I have found is it's because Ed is the light of our life. So when he leaves the room, it's dark.
It's dark.
It is.
Light up our life.
Right, now the rest of you are back. I'm going to go and put Septimus back in his house because he's looking at me through the tub now like, you bastard. So I'm going to go and put him away. And I'll be back in a few minutes, hopefully.
We have lost the cool steampunk name person. We're entering our third hour, which if you haven't visited often enough, we get horribly inappropriate and stop giving a damn what we say.
Right.
That's right. We're in the third hour. Yeah.
I cared up till now.
Well,
Going dark. Oh.
There's a possibility I may become a cunt. I'll be right back.
I'm just responding on stuff. She did that. She tagged me, so I did that.
Is that on Facebook?
Facebook,
nice.
Instagram, all that.
There we go. We're back to our regular. Really, Kevin leaves and we all hush up?
He the man.
He is.
It's all about him.
Here, do you want this cat on your lap? And I'll go take a quick refill break.
Okay.
I can just put him on my chair. He'll be happy there.
Cat.
You want a cat?
I'm intoxicated by the serpents. Oh, there you go. I'm getting blue now. It's a dark hour. Don't worry about it. Did I show you my postcard? My postcard.
You show me anything you want.
I got a whole roll of postcard stamps, so.
It's funny because you didn't sign it. I remember looking at you. I know who it is.
I'll just put stickers everywhere.
I love it. Thank you. So thoughtful. I have a pen pal.
And I have lots of postcards I got when I went to England and whenever I traveled anywhere. So.
Excellent. Okay.
Now we wait.
Jessica Jones it's fun. Not a huge fan of where they went with the story this season, but you can't have everything.
Haven't seen second season yet.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I mean, I love movies where you get to see superpowers or sword fights or just cool gunshot. Why else would you go?
Devnall's cheering.
Yay!
Thank you, Devnall.
He's off the bed. Good night, Devnall.
Oh, we'll miss you.
Pardon me. Have a great night, Devnall. We'll catch you again next week, buddy. We'd make this earlier, but it wouldn't work for any of us.
There is a show tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, Devnall, if you're around tomorrow, feel free to join us as we enter a controversial conversation about conventions.
Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitch.
You want to tell the late people who we were interviewing tomorrow?
Yeah, for the folks that weren't here in the beginning of the show, Steampunk World's Fair is one of the larger steampunk conventions in the country. Hold on a second. My cooler is caught on my chair leg.
What did you say? My Google alert?
No, my cooler.
He's got a cooler of beer next to the chair.
So I didn't have to
get up.
Like I said, once again, sounding like a public school teacher.
Having a cooler of beer?
Getting caught in your chair, yep.
Okay. So Devnall, if you haven't left yet, or anybody else that hasn't heard, tomorrow we're interviewing the new head or con chair of Steampunk World's Fair, there are a lot of people that are upset with the old management, to the point where it sounds like some of them should be pressing charges and bringing up legal action, though I don't know if that has happened. And it might turn out to be a great conversation, or it might be turned out to be a group with pitchforks and torches. So we'd love to have you here.
Either way, come see it for entertainment purposes or ask a question.
Yeah,
We'll find out.
I'd love to have some of our regulars there. I know Mondays are the night, but I'd love
Because
to
we know
see
how you are. We need that.
some of our regulars who will understand when we have a moment of inappropriate humor, etc. Though we're probably not going to wander in that direction too much. It's going to happen at least once or twice. So feel free to join us for that, all of you.
Ooh. Robin's here. Hey, Robin.
Hey.
Good to. Oh, I guess we don't actually see them, do we?
So I was working with my kids. I teach all sorts of classes. I'm teaching engineering. And what we're doing is, surreptitiously, we are creating projects just for them to work and get used to working with a variety of materials. And this week we taught them how to make a circuit using a little LED light. And then to make a puppet or something that the circuit goes into. So I made a little guy out of paper mache, out of aluminum foil. And it looks like a little rocket man as he flies around.
So, what do you just have, like the LED wire going to a battery or something?
What you do is you take a 3-volt battery, and then you're teaching them about circuit, making a circle, because electricity runs through the negative electron. And then they use aluminum foil to expand the circuit to where you can use the battery anywhere in the puppet or the sculpture and then have the circuit completed. The ultimate goal being that we want them to look in the community, think of an invention that could help the community, and to build it out of either whatever products. And it's children have been discouraged right now in school to take a risk or just to try something, to be bold and experiment. And some of them just give up immediately. Some of them are kind of evil, get other people to do it for them. They're not willing to just try to create something, look silly or foolish or not. So that's part of it. Look, he flies.
I'm not going to comment too much on that because that will be the rest of the show and another show altogether. That whole topic right there.
I forgot to show that about the week.
No, that's very cool. Just the whole thing of kids and
it's a great topic. We need to show.
It is. If you ever, and the fun thing was that you're trying to teach them, but not show them too much, so they mimic something. So you're having to build in front of them, which is always a challenge. So. First, you could do it this way. See, it won't work that way. Oh, you gotta rub it a little.
It turns it on.
Rocket Man.
Okay, Kevin, welcome back. What you got?
Well, let's talk about snakes for a minute because I'm going to need to give this guy a few minutes to acclimatize because you just missed the most amazing wrestling match.
No
He's
biting,
out.
right?
No biting, no. If I'd been bitten, I'd have just put him straight back because not because I'd. Well, yeah, exactly. Not because I've been bitten by snakes before. Obviously, it is, I suppose, what you'd describe as an occupational hazard of being a snake keeper. Doesn't happen very often. But of all the snakes I own, if I'm going to get bitten by one, it doesn't want to be this guy. So not because I don't own any venomous snakes. You need a special license both in the US and in the UK to keep venomous snakes. Not sure whether they.
When we were visiting you, I remember Em got bit by that one.
Yeah.
What did she get bit by?
Lucifer.
Was it Lucifer attacked her? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he just caught her, didn't he? He missed his feed and nicked her with one of his teeth.
She forgot to wash her hands after handling feed.
That's right. Yeah, she'd fed somebody else earlier in the evening. That's a real peril for keepers, and actually, from my wife, that's quite a rookie mistake, to be honest.
Before Kevin goes on, you see in Elizabeth's picture the white stripe going up the wall behind her. Sometimes, at a quick glance, it looks like she's holding her hand up for a question.
It does.
I know.
It does. I'm just like, oh, does she have? Oh no, that's just her wall again. Okay, go on, Kevin. I just wanted to point. If ever I'm like, what do you need, Elizabeth? And you're like, nothing. I'm like, oh, it's in your wall.
I was holding my hand up. I'm like, why am I holding?
And you haven't had anything to drink. Wow.
Okay, so
Quick question.
yeah,
Okay, so when they do strike, that probably uses a lot of energy.
very much. Yeah. In fact, one of the things in the wild that you'll see snake catchers do before they attempt to restrain and cage an animal, whether it's for study, tag and release, whatever, is they will actually try and entice the snake to strike at them. And the reason they do this is that the amount of energy that a snake uses to propel itself at that speed for a strike uses up an enormous amount of the energy that they have stored from the previous feed, and it exhausts them very quickly. So if you can get a snake to lunge at you 2 or 3 times, eventually it will actually get so worn out it can't do it anymore, which then makes it much easier to approach, restrain using snake hooks or whatever, and then proceed to a capture.
I
That also works if you're in a fist fight.
Fist fight,
It's
dealing
true.
with liberals, you know.
If you're smaller and wiry and can get out of their punch, yeah, if you could get the big guy to throw a few punches, sometimes they'll get tired out after a minute or
Yeah,
three.
exactly. It's a very similar principle. Yeah, you use their own endurance against them. They've only got a limited amount of energy with which to strike at you before they start getting tired. If you can wear them down to that point, they become much easier to evade.
Well, especially they're doing those huge haymakers, and it takes more energy to miss a punch than connect a punch.
Exactly, and eventually, although they'll still continue to try and strike at you, the lunges will get slower, more lethargic, they're less accurate.
Right.
Please live to drink another day.
As a man who's been bitten by snakes a few times, a lot of the damage and the pain that you feel as a human being doesn't actually come from the bite. It's the force they hit you with. And people always say to me, well, what's it like the ball python that I had out first at the start of the show? Nervous owners looking for a beginner snake. When you recommend a ball python, they'll say, well, what if it bites me? And I always say to them, imagine someone poking you in the back of the hand with a drawing pin. It stings, it hurts for a little bit when it happens, but you're not going to wake up tomorrow feeling pain in that area. You know, it's a very minor.
Is the biggest pain.
Now, the guy I'm going to get out in a minute, they say, okay, so what about that guy? What's it like when he bites you? And I say, well, it's exactly the same. It's like being stabbed in the hand with a drawing pin, swung on the end of a 7-pound sledgehammer. That's the difference. It's the power they lunge at you with, not necessarily the teeth. You don't tend to find fangs in snakes unless they are venomous snakes, because the fang is an injection system for the venom. It's a delivery system for the toxin. So unless they're a venomous snake, very few snakes actually have large fangs. They tend to have lots of short serrated teeth, which enable them to grip onto you and stop the grip from being broken. You know, it's kind of like gripping with a good set of pliers. And the idea is that once they bite you, they're just trying to secure their head and not move. And then they will then curl the body around you, using the head as an anchor point to the point where it can then begin to constrict you.
Kevin, I've told you previously my background with reptiles and snakes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the viewers, I used to work in a pet store. Now, this was, 30 years ago almost now. I guess 28 years ago.
They had pet stores then?
Yeah, we would just stand in the woods and grab
worked in
things
one?
off trees.
You worked in one when you were only 5?
Yeah, it surprised me when I realized how long ago it was. But yeah, so I have owned ball pythons and rainbow boas and other types of pythons. I had co-workers that had, 12-foot albino python or whatever, and I might be misremembering that length or thinking of your albino python. But yeah, so I have some experience. It's just a while ago, but not much has changed. There hasn't been many new discoveries besides a little more common sense has come into practice.
I think we haven't really discovered anything new about snakes. What we have done is refined the knowledge that we had and extended it to be more detailed. So it's not like we're breaking new ground and suddenly discovering new behavior traits, but we understand the methodology behind those traits more and the factors that cause them.
And we've lost arrogance.
Yes.
That everything is about us. The world belongs to us. We've come to understand a little more of we share it. Oh, Ian says, Ed, keeping your PC clean of all those viruses after Pornhub purchase?
Damn, you noticed that.
What they see is a reflection of your glasses. Okay, so I'm just chit-chatting with you, Kevin, until you're ready to whip him out.
I'm going to give him 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Let's talk about who and what he is, shall we? And go back to what we were saying about the invasive species thing.
And we still have the question about other reptiles besides snakes, of what a good starter reptile is, or would be.
Oh, wow. Okay, I've missed that one. Sorry. Good starter reptiles. A lot of the smaller lizard species.
Leopard geckos, etc.
Leopard geckos. You mentioned anoles earlier. They're quite a good species. A lot of chameleon species are very placid. The bearded
the
dragon.
classic chameleon, though, with the curly tail and the separate eyes. Those are hard to keep alive.
Yeah, you're talking about Jackson's chameleons or panther chameleons. Yeah.
Oh, is that what they're called? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, some people do it like a charm. Most people end up with a dead lizard after a month or 3.
Oh, that's so sad.
That's because, unlike a lot of lizards that come from very dry climates, those guys require a certain level of humidity in the tank, as well as an appropriate amount of airflow, which they wouldn't get from a sealed-in box. They're normally kept in mesh cage screens. You need humidifiers to control the dampness in the air to provide them with the correct living conditions. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and this is where our knowledge has grown over the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah, enormously, and also to do with things like, for example, the light spectrums that we keep animals in. The positive effect of UVB radiation from the sun on certain species of animals. The most commonly kept and easiest to keep reptile species is probably the bearded dragon. Australian lizard. Cute. Yeah, very cute. Big beards that puff out, where they get their name from. It's one of their ways of demonstrating threat is to inflate the loose skin around their throat, which goes black and gives them the appearance of having this big black pirate type beard. But
I like Uromastyx also.
Uromastyx are beautiful, yeah. And they're
especially
again
once they get adulthood and get that emerald.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost iridescent.
Yeah, I think that off the top of my head, I think that's Uromastyx jerryi. I'd have to look that up to be certain because I'm not a Uromastyx keeper, but there are 5 or 6 species commonly kept now, where there only used to be 1 or 2. They're great little lizards, armored lizards, big bulbous tails. They almost resemble like a little miniature dinosaur. Same with the bearded dragon. I mean, they look very fearsome. They look like they're really spiky, but the spikes that you see around the neck and the ruff of a bearded dragon are actually, if you flick them with your finger, they're soft. They're like a spiky latex handbag.
Don't tell some people that.
It's the closest way I can describe it to somebody. You know, that kind of, you must have seen the lighters with the weird 3D latex spiky sheaths and that kind of. That's pretty much what they're not hard spikes. They're not a defensive mechanism. They're just designed to look threatening, to make the lizard appear like it's going to be a real awkward bundle to eat.
It works. It works.
Yeah. And beardies can be surprisingly aggressive. I mean, I've had one latch onto me before, and the bite strength in the jaw, it belies the small size of the creature. They give you a nasty nip if you happen to get on the wrong end of one.
Yeah, if they catch in the right place, like if they get you in the right, again, depending on their size, age, etc. But yeah, if they catch you like in the fleshy part between your fingers.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
the
if they
fluffy
get
part.
fluffy part. Fleshy.
It's only a lousy flesh wound.
I saw a meme recently that had the Black Knight across from Gandalf. That was like when nobody passes.
Your previous Septimus. How often and how much does he eat?
Okay, so he eats rodents, rats or mice. Actually, he's more likely to eat rats now because it's awkward to get mice large enough to give him a decent size feed. So you were talking about something approximately this size, about 5 or 6 inches in length and about 3 inches through. and he'll eat one of those roughly every 14 to 21 days, depending on his appetite.
Let me ask, with that, if you don't have the larger rodent available, can you do 2 or 3 smaller ones?
You can do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of all of my snakes, actually, he's the most interesting to watch eat, because he will eat suspended from a branch, where all the other snakes take their prey on the ground.
Right.
He will hang from a branch, he'll strike at it, I'll dangle it in midair, and he'll take it much the same way I described him earlier. He'll hang his tail from the branch and strike into the air. Once he's got the prey in his mouth, he will actually twist his body until he'll wriggle around for a bit. He'll hold the rat in his coils while he manages to work his mouth over the head end of the rodent. But once he's got a grip on it, he'll twist his entire body so his head's upside down like this. And then he'll literally use gravity to help feed the rodent into his mouth.
Right.
So he'll actually consume it suspended in midair, whereas all the other snakes will take it and move to an area where they're comfortable and then slowly swallow it on the ground.
How long does it take to swallow?
You know about the snake still?
Yes, yeah, still love the snake.
Depending on how hungry he is, anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, what a way to go.
See, and your girlfriend would just be like, my jaw.
Just want to stipulate at this point as well, I don't ever live feed. Not ever. It's not something I agree with. It's a bit of a sticking point in the reptile community, and it does, and I mean no offense by this, it does seem to be much more prevalent live feeding in America than it is in Europe. What the reason for that is, I don't know.
It's American psychology, I think.
Well, it's traumatic for live feeding, for the prey and the snake.
It's undue and unnecessary suffering on both sides.
And risk.
Yeah, they get hurt.
Great risk for snake owners, because you're talking about an animal that has its own teeth, its own claws, and if it's live, it doesn't want to die. It's going to fight back. So you're talking about something that could potentially claw open the skin of the snake, cause bite injuries, which can go septic. They can be a killer. But you're talking, as ironic as it seems, a 12-foot snake can be killed by a 3-inch mouse if it scratches it and that scratch becomes infected, isn't treated. So for that reason, and frankly, that's about 10% of it. It's 90% of the ethics of it. I just don't agree with it. The only time I would ever condone an attempt at live feeding is if the snake is in deteriorating health, it's shown a loss of appetite, it's losing weight rapidly. No other attempt at feeding, including force feeding, which can be done with some snakes, where you literally force the rodent into their mouth and then massage the throat to try and work it in. If all of that has been tried and the only other option to save the snake's life is to attempt to stimulate a hunting response with live prey, that is the only situation under which I would condone it.
And with that, with a smaller rodent?
With the smallest possible rodent in comparison to the size of the animal, yeah.
I'd like to. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's literally just that sometimes a warm, living, breathing, moving prey will stimulate a hunting response where offering a previously killed animal won't.
I'd like to thank everyone for your professionalism and your restraint of commenting on any of those remarks.
We made the face. You knew we were thinking.
I've just been thinking I've been eating my gah all wrong.
I have a question. If a snake does get hurt and gets a cut, you can't put a Band-Aid on it. What do you do?
You use a diluted iodine wash or something very similar. You get reptile-specific antibacterial washes to cleanse the wound out. But all you can do is just wash it repeatedly on a daily basis to guard against infection getting into the wound and just allow it to heal naturally.
Make sure you keep the cage clean, pick up any waste, etc.
But normally with a snake that's injured, I would strip the cage or the vivarium out entirely, so there would be nothing in there, not even a sheet of paper underneath, because obviously even lining paper in the base of a tank, if an open wet wound gets onto it, it can stick. And then you've got to try and either soak the paper off, which runs the risk of opening the wound again. So they would be in literally an empty tank with nothing in it. So there's no danger of them bumping the wound against anything and aggravating it beyond its already existing state.
Okay. You ready to whip out Lucifer?
I'm going to give it a go. If I find it difficult to keep the headset on, we may have to try detaching the headset and see whether
Like
that
I
causes
said, if you want to take it off and lay it on your keyboard, and then we just won't ask questions, we'll let you do the talking.
Out of curiosity, before I try wrangling, let me just try unplugging him, and we'll see how badly the sound does or doesn't work. Okay.
Okay. So bear with us for our viewers.
I think I've seen this episode.
Okay.
Say again, Kevin?
Are you picking me up? Okay.
Yeah.
You sound okay. If we talk at the same time, we lose you. But we'll give this a shot. Worst comes to worst, we'll mute ourselves so you don't get the feedback.
Okay. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck. We've seen this guy, and yeah, he can. Oh, Kat says there's a show on Nat Geo Wild that is called The Incredible Dr. Pole. A lady came in because there's a lot of comments. Nice guys. Lady came in because he was the only one willing to see her because she decided to live feed her snake a rat, and it ate the crap out of that snake. He was able to stitch him up and save him. It was terrifying for the poor snake. Great show, though. Recommend checking it out. Ian says, my brother had to watch a friend's lesser Gila monster for 2 months, and he said it was more work than he was interested in putting into any pet. Beautiful patterns, but worrying about people wanting to play with them was too much. Said the best part of it was being in New Mexico for 2 months away from our hellish winters. And Robin says, whip it out.
Whip it out.
Oh, look
Holy
at
shit.
it. Ed, make it big.
I'm not worthy.
So
Even
this
put
is
Ed
Luke
in the shit.
Burke. He's a 6-year-old male Burmese python. He's approximately 12 feet in length, and he weighs around 12 to 14 pounds. Say hi. Say hi to the nice people. Look, there he is. Who's a beautiful boy? Oh, you can investigate the webcam. Look, say hi to everybody.
He's in a rather decent mood tonight, isn't he?
He's okay so far. He's a little grumpy because, like I say, he is diurnal. He's used to a day-night cycle, so essentially he's like waking you up.
I hear that all the time, Robin.
That too.
Tell me what that is, because I'm not watching comments. I'm watching this guy.
Robin says, oh my god, it's huge. And in another comment, beautiful.
Now, Lucifer here is a specific morph. That is to say, a particular color or pattern type. So he's not a common or normal Burmese python, which would exhibit a lot more browns and olive greens in the coloration. As you can see, this guy's quite yellow. So normally on a normal Burmese python, where you see these, darker patches here that are like a dark yellowy brown on him, the sort of bronzy bits, they would be very dark olive green, and then these slightly yellow lines interconnecting in between the spaces, they would normally be a light to dark brown color.
So is his a natural coloration, or is it something we've bred?
It is a natural coloration, but it is also bred to produce animals that specifically demonstrate this color morph for the sales market, but it is a naturally occurring morph as well. It's what's known by its shortened form as a hypo, which stands for hypomelanistic. So that means that his body doesn't produce melanin, which is the dark skin pigment, which is why he has this pale yellow coloration to him rather than the darker drab olives and browns that you would associate. And he has this beautiful creamy underbelly. If I just get that on.
Creamy.
Mm.
You can't see it too well with the glare on my camera.
Don't worry, we're going to get you a better camera, buddy.
Yeah, we're working on it. Remember, give us money, damn it. Buy me a better camera, then you can see this guy much better.
Just waiting for the Kickstarter. Yeah.
Now, we were talking about invasive species. For those of you who don't know, the Burmese python has become an invasive species in the Florida Everglades. The reason for this is that in 1986 or 7, there was a hurricane that destroyed a holding and shipping warehouse in South Florida that housed cars being prepared for shipping abroad to another area. And as a result of the destruction of that warehouse, several hundred Burmese pythons that were being held at that warehouse for onward shipping escaped into the Everglades. Now, the Everglades has a unique climate in the US that closely enough resembles the tropical rainforest habitat of the Burmese python that they've been able to survive in the wild. Certain organizations in America, such as the Humane Society of the States, have attempted to use this as a reason to get the ownership of big snakes banned in the US. The potential for invasive damage to wildlife. But the truth of the matter,
that same hurricane is the reason that the iguanas are out there, as well as Quaker parakeets, which are native to India, and now there's whole flocks of them going across South Florida.
On the natural habitat of these guys, obviously, expect Myanmar because of the name, the Burmese python, but they're actually from all the way from North India and Pakistan, right across the southern half of Asia to just north of areas like Singapore and Malaysia. They are found on a couple of the most northern Malaysian islands closest to the main continent, but not in the southern parts of Malaysia. The likelihood is that some of them may have drifted to the northern islands at some point in the past on driftwood, wreckage, etc., and managed to survive and create populations there. But generally speaking, they're a mainland Asian species. These are the most hunted and killed snake in the world, primarily for the Chinese medicine trade and for their skins, because as a large snake, and a relatively docile one for the large snake species, they're very easy to catch and kill to make belts and handbags out of.
Which is funny because they're eating, alligators in the Everglades.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, they are, as an adult, a phenomenally efficient killing machine. They can constrict and kill prey 4 times their size, and swallow it. This guy can eat something that is up to 3 times his own body weight. In this case, you're talking prey that's about that sort of wide. Snake skin is very stretchy, and although there's a common misconception that their bottom jaw dislocates, it doesn't. They're capable of opening their mouths very wide. Actually, the reason is that their bottom jaw is actually 2 separate jaw bones. Now, in humans, we've evolved so that our bottom jaw is one solid bone all the way across. In snakes, it's 2 separate bones that meet in the center, but that have a divide just here in the center of where our chin would be. So when their mouths open, the top half opens up. The bottom half will open downwards like this, and then outwards like that.
Like Predator.
Yeah, very similar. So that's what snakes the ability to stretch their mouths so wide open that they can swallow prey so much bigger than them. This guy is one of my most commonly used snakes for public demonstrations because people go, Jesus, look at that. But also because he's actually, once you get him out and he realizes, oh, it's not food, I'm just being taken out to play. He's incredibly docile for all of his enormous size.
Elizabeth, any questions?
Actually, it was just a memory. I grew up in Europe, and my mother and I had a gerbil, and my mother was sitting in the chair, and she had this snakeskin belt, and I don't know wherever she got it. She wasn't known to buy animal products. I think it was a gift from one of the visiting officers. And that gerbil went crazy and attacked the belt.
Wow, really?
It was incredible. And so I was just thinking of that and what the comments Kevin had made previously about feeding live animals to your snakes and how dangerous it could be.
Interesting, because gerbils being a desert creature, it was
an extraordinary moment. Normally that gerbil loved my mother, so.
It was trying to save her.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
The bird. So I think perhaps I love the name Lucifer. I mean, the kids probably just.
There's an interesting story behind that, and I'll explain why. Now, obviously, I said earlier I pick all my snakes' names, with this one single exception. This snake and his mate, who sadly is no longer with us. I rescued from their previous owner. And when I say I rescued them, The guy had no clue, absolutely no clue what he was doing in terms of husbandry for an animal of this size. So just to give you an example, this guy's grown a bit since I've had him. But when he and his mate came to me, they were both approximately 8 to 9 feet in length, and he had both of them cohabiting in a 5-foot vid. They were cramped, they were wallowing in their own feces, they were both highly aggressive because they were bloody miserable, basically. And so he named this snake Lucifer because every time he tried to handle this guy, he would get bitten or attacked or constricted or experience some kind of aggressive behavior. Came to me, he's now in his own tank, which is 6 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, has multiple levels, plenty of hides, lots of cover. Literally within 2 weeks, he was as you see him now. He handled first time, never hisses, never bites, doesn't show any aggressive behavior. So I kept the name Lucifer because it's a name that causes people all the time to say, why on earth did you call him Lucifer? It means I can then tell the story about why he got his name, which enables me to point out to people that actually a lot of the time aggression in snakes is not down to their temperament, it's down to our husbandry and looking after them. You provide the animal with the correct husbandry and the animal will reward you with the correct kind of behavior. So this puppy dog doesn't live up to his name anymore. Travis.
Real quick, thank you, Skipper. Appreciate that cheer there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he took number 1. Devnall's in number 2. You're in number 3 slot right now. Okay, go on, Kevin. And Ian, by the way, since I have everybody's attention, Ian says apparently there's a number of these snake islands, but this one is patrolled by the local Navy to keep folks away, and it's that island off of Brazil.
Yeah.
Ilha de Queimada Grande, where, yeah, they have the golden lancet pit viper, and it's critically endangered, and there's also, like, more snakes per square foot on this island than anywhere else. There's more snakes than just that, as well as birds and other things that they can feed on.
The figure is that there's a viper for every 3 square feet.
Yeah, they do mention something along those lines. Let me see if I can find... Yeah, something close to what you said. I can't find it exactly right now. But
So what does this guy eat and how often?
Apologies to anybody who finds them cute and fluffy, but this guy loves rabbits. 5-6 pound in weight.
Here's
Once a month?
question.
Twice a month?
Less than that, actually. He's about once every 6 to 8 weeks for a feed.
Oh, wow.
Again, because he's a bigger snake with a bigger feed, it's a bigger gap between feeds. Smaller snakes burn energy slightly faster than the bigger ones do. So even though he's taking a bigger meal, that fuel will last him quite a considerable amount of time. He's a very placid snake when he's not hunting. He'll spend a lot of his time, if not an entire day at times, sat still doing absolutely nothing. He essentially leads the lifestyle I would like to live. Sits in his ass doing nothing all day. People bring him food, coo at him, tell him he's beautiful. And
Comment from question from Kat. Ian says Jake the Snake Roberts had one named Lucifer. And Kat asks, speaking of rescues, what's that like over there? I know you're on an island, but since you mentioned that there aren't many snake varieties there, I imagine there's a lot of breeding and a lot of mishandling or situations like Lucifer. Does your group help with this? And do you have a lot of rescue groups?
Okay, rescue groups do exist. Does my local reptile group do rescues? That's an awkward question. Officially speaking, no, we don't. Because we don't encourage people to assume, well, if I can't handle it, then RAS will just take it off my hands. And, because it actually encourages people to be sloppy with husbandry. That
What's
said,
the group?
sorry, it's RAS, WRAS, it's the White Reptile and Amphibian Society.
Very good.
Unofficial. We're all animal lovers, especially snake lovers or reptile lovers. And if it's a choice between sitting back and doing nothing and watching an animal suffer or stepping in and giving it a new home, we'll do it. But we don't advertise the fact because we used to when we first started the society, and we ended up with something like 40 animals under care awaiting new homes. And the whole time we're looking after those, we've got to feed them, we've got to house them, we've got to provide heat, light, UV, it costs a fortune, and the society is run by volunteers. We have no real income other than membership fees, and we just cover the cost of the animals. So we essentially became a reptile hospital funded out of our own. So we don't advertise that we do it, but if there's a situation where the animal's health is at risk, one of us will step in and either take it or find it another home with another keeper we know of who has the space for it, who can give it the right care. We would always, in the first instance, try and leave the animal with the owner and just educate the owner in an attempt to get the owner to provide better husbandry. But sometimes, sadly, people do have a tendency with exotic animals to buy them in the same way that they buy the latest fashion. They're great for a while, they get bored of them, and they just want to get rid of it. Unfortunately, there does seem to be this preponderance to treat reptiles with much less affection and respect than we do animals like dogs and cats. You don't see people buying dogs and then 6 weeks later going, oh, I'm bored of it, and putting it back up for sale again. Or you do, but not anything to do with reptiles.
Very good. It is 20 minutes till the end of the show. Do we want to go ahead and pop loose for a way, or do you want to keep him out for the rest?
He's feeling pretty good, so I'm going to just sit here like this for a minute and see if he'll stay out. And
okay. Because for the last 15 minutes or so, I'd like to move off topic and talk about...
I'll tell you what, let's just quickly, like I've done with the others, I've got the camera pushed back a bit, but let me just see if I can angle this up a little bit. What I'm going to attempt to do is stand up and show you this guy. Now, you should bear in mind, for reference, for those of you who don't know me, that I am 6'8".
There you go.
That's a big snake.
He's about 11 and a half, 12 feet, I guess.
How often do you measure your snake?
How
often do you measure your snakes?
About once every 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
It's actually very easy to do. People always have this vision of me trying to pin them down with a tape measure or a piece of string. Thankfully, due to the invention of modern technology, it's way easier these days than it used to be. There is an online device called Sivart widget. What you do is you put your snake down on the floor and you take a photograph of it from directly above. And in the shot, you place an item that you know the length of. 12 inch, whatever it is, yeah. Then from that, you upload the image onto Sivart widgets. You click on the object and stipulate how long it is. And then you just click with your mouse and plot as many points as you can along the spine of the snake. And then the program will extrapolate that into a straight line, compare it to your scale, and give you a measurement of length.
Very good. What do you like to use as your object, like a ruler or a quarter?
I normally use, 12-inch, 30-centimeter ruler, just because it's an easy item to find to hand, and I know exactly how long it is.
You can hold it.
And because my wife frowns when I start taking photographs of my penis.
Especially when you lay on the floor next to the snake.
Although I imagine that even taking a picture of a 12-foot snake from above can be a challenge at times.
It's a challenge sometimes to get him to sit still long enough. Yeah, I mean, this guy's pretty placid at the moment. As you can see, he's still on the move constantly. So the best thing to do is try and get high up. I tend to stand on the arm of the sofa or something like that. I've still got him in shot by the time I take the photo.
Very good.
Yay.
Is that all the questions? Can I start talking about other stuff? Anybody got anything else on this?
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll pop him back in his box now anyway, and then we've got a couple of minutes if anyone wants to throw last-minute questions before we go off to talk the last few minutes. Oh my God, you were a tiny bugger.
Somebody throws a question down while I'm talking about other stuff, I'll definitely redirect back to your questions. Now, next week, really, have I forgotten what we have next week?
Counting down the Bill of Rights, baby.
Oh yeah, another serious topic. We're going to start at 10 and work back because we were guessing the First and Second Amendment are going to have the most attention. So we're going to start at 10 and work backwards. going over what they are, how we feel about them, and some of the controversial conversations, especially around the First and Second Amendment. And also, we'll get to show my ignorance with, like, if somebody goes, "What's the Seventh Amendment?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Number 7.
Hold on while I
It's the
Google
one
that.
after the 6th.
Friction seizure.
What's that, Kevin?
It's the one after the 6th.
It is, just before the 8th. The Fifth Amendment is you could drink what you want when you want. Here's to that.
Here.
Yeah. Unless you work with children.
You just have to be a little sneakier about it.
Yeah.
If we end up arming teachers, or people like, so I can carry a gun around kids, but I can't booze it up? What the fuck? I need a drink more than I need a gun.
I suppose it depends on the child.
Yeah, that's true. How about a chair and a whip?
Oh, if I may interject real quick, I like to just expand on my little snippet of the end of the world. Today I saw the end of the world on the crowded R train. This close, everybody hanging in there. A couple had a toddler in the carriage.
Uh-huh.
The toddler's making some noise, but nobody says anything. The angry demonic man hits, I think, the toddler or the carriage. I couldn't quite see. There's someone in my way. I start screaming at this child to shut up, shut up, shut up. And then I look over and they've given the toddler an enormous can of Coca-Cola.
Sweet. That's. By the way, speaking of toddlers, Ian says we have a number of volunteer groups discouraging folks from getting bunnies, duckies, chicks, and such for their bratty kids for Easter.
What about this?
Yes.
Get them candy and peeps.
And a 20 ounce of Coke.
Yeah.
Did everybody see them? Everybody see the bunny-related Easter meme I posted on my Facebook wall the other day?
No, tell us.
It's hundreds, if not thousands, of rabbits are sadly taken on at Easter, and then when the novelty wears off, they're discarded or rehomed. When it's much easier to just hold on to them and fatten them up till summer, where you can make a nice stew out of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's a fair point. It really is, just like the chickens and the ducks. But yeah, naming pets, people have issues. And like Kevin was talking about earlier, where, people do this with reptiles, and a couple months later they don't want them. Well, we don't do that with dogs and cats or other pets. Well, we do. But especially with the animals, the live animals people buy for their children for Easter, this happens.
Don't do that. Never buy anyone a live creature without.
No, stick with the dead ones.
Yes.
Or take your kid to a petting zoo.
I prefer dead chicken fried in a skillet.
I made some of that this weekend.
Yeah, if you know a kid who's interested in reptiles, don't just go out and buy a reptile. Buy them a season ticket to a zoo or something. Or buy them a book about reptiles or a DVD. Teach them first. Don't just dump a reptile on them.
And if they won't read it or rewatch the DVD multiple times, they're not interested enough to have the damn
Exactly.
animal. It's if they can't pick up after themselves, how are they going to care for another animal?
It's a lot of work.
I've got a nickname in the reptile club. They call me Stato. And the reason for that is because I'm the guy who knows all the statistics, the facts, the figures, the science knowledge behind the keeping of reptiles. And the question I get asked a lot is, why are you so fascinated by learning all of this seemingly useless information about reptiles? And the answer is because I believe in understanding my duty as a keeper. In the same way that if you own a dog or a cat, it is reliant on you for its safety, its food, its security. It's no different with a reptile. In fact, it's more so because you're talking about a set of animals that have specific living conditions, require certain heat, certain humidity, and those things must be spot on in order to maintain the health and the integrity of the animal. And that all falls on your shoulders as its keeper. So I like to know as much as I can because I don't believe when it comes to keeping animals there's any such thing as useless knowledge, only useless keepers.
Absolutely.
And
when is
children too?
Yeah, children. More knowledge, the better.
A study that was done in America, actually, about 10 or 15 years ago now, proved that no child is born with a fear of snakes. The fear of snakes is something that you acquire throughout your lifetime because of the way snakes are represented, whether that's in the media, whether you're raised a Christian, where obviously the snake is the creature that tempts Eve, it's the origin of all sin. If you look at the Jungle Book, even Shere Khan the tiger is portrayed as a noble creature, albeit dangerous. The only evil creature in the Jungle Book is Kaa, the snake. You never see a positive snake story in a newspaper. It's always snake escapes, eats family pet, or worse. And so because of all this negative imagery and connotation, people acquire a fear of these animals.
Where's all the stories about snakes saving children from wells?
Yeah, right.
But isn't a snake a symbol for the medical profession?
It is.
Yeah.
A regeneration of health, of growth, of healing.
People don't bring that up very much.
You look into ancient mythology, snakes were treated as noble creatures in the Native American as well as a few other cultures across the world, South American culture, and that. So, yeah.
Even in parts of Asia, ironically, given the prevalence of snakes for use in everything from alcoholic drinks to medicines to skins, but still within those cultures, because of their usefulness to their culture and because of them as their bodies being a source of ingredients for Chinese herbalist medicine, they are regarded with a certain amount of respect compared to other areas of the world.
Okay, so for the last 10 minutes, we already discussed what's going on next week. Again, I want to remind everybody about tomorrow. Elizabeth, I believe you'll be joining in the chat, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll be there.
Kevin, I have no expectation for you to being there. Maybe, if you're bored, about the time you get home, feel free to pop in, but I'm going to keep our group small with Ed, myself, and Andrea to speak to Michael Whitehouse. Even during this show, we're getting questions posted to the event page with concerned people who want to know what's going on. And yeah, and we have seen a lot more opposition to this than support. So if you're watching and you want to support the regime change, if you will, feel free to pop in and support. If you're against it or just curious, I had one person who was just genuinely curious going, I want to know what's up at the chocolate event and if the bands are changing. And those are all valid questions, and I want to cover the full spectrum, not just, well, tune in tomorrow and you'll see all kinds of good stuff or not so good stuff. We'll see. It might be there is. Oh, just tune in. I don't know.
I'm just very excited. I think it's important nowadays to talk, to discuss, debate, to educate, to communicate.
You'll be able to see a different side of me, Elizabeth, the way tonight with Kevin giving him the space to speak, or last week with our guest, etc.
And you just might hear an Ed rant or two if I get pissed off or not.
Oh, I'm so there. I'm eating popcorn out there.
Okay, Kat asks, is there a way for you to give someone a quick rundown of what happened? I must have missed this. Okay, Steampunk World's Fair, New Jersey-based, long-running steampunk convention run by a gentleman using the term loosely perhaps, there are allegations of sexual misconduct, which is out there on the internet, and there are links for it, and I may well post some of those links. But we're not focusing on the past. We're focusing on moving forward.
Well, that's what we're trying to focus on.
Right. Well, I'm going to make that clear in the show. But basically, yes, he behaved very badly according to about a dozen different people. And because of that, he stepped down. Other people stepped forward. The company is supposed to have been purchased by Silver Phoenix Society. And now people are questioning Silver Phoenix Society's motives, if they're still associated with the previous people who ran it, and also how they have been possibly deleting comments or Robin, same time as normal. We start at 8 p.m. Eastern. We are planning on a 2-hour show. Frankly, if we finish up in an hour, we're done in an hour. If it goes a little over 2, we'll go a little over 2.
Tune in to find out.
In all likelihood, once our guest is finished, Ed, Andrea, and I will stay on. Elizabeth, at that point in time, if you want to join in, we will gladly bring you in to discuss this.
Okay.
Because the reason I'm doing this, Michael Whitehouse approached me. He's the con chair now. and he basically wants to get information out there. And I told him I'm going to ask the blunt, direct questions, and I might be a bit aggressive about it because I want to be the voice of these. Thank you, Jamin. Appreciate that. Super just cheer 20.
Oh, nice one. Thanks, Jamin.
I'm not going to attack him and shut him down, but I want clear, crisp answers. If he wants to expand after with an explanation, that's fine.
We want the facts.
Yeah.
Not just everyone's opinion. We want to find out.
You can't handle the truth.
It could be.
Some people probably won't be able to.
But there is a group of people who are very vocal and very upset, and like I said, the image of internet torches and pitchforks come to mind. Now, if they have absolute reason, I'd like to try to draw this reason out and get some straight facts out of the people who should know. Michael Whitehouse in particular this time. Kat says, I heard about a specific person who is accused. I wasn't aware there was more. Yes, you might be referring to Jeff Mack. And yes, there is that, but I don't want to focus on what has happened. I want to focus on what the new Steampunk World's Fair will look like.
Are we still going to have the bands, the guests, the costumes, the awesome that it is? Or is it just going to go away?
Yeah, which right now I couldn't pick a winner in that horse race. We'll see. This year is happening. Beyond this year, we'll see. Keep in mind the mass of the people who go probably have no clue this is happening. Not him. Okay. You don't have to say there are other people who I know were accused of things.
Yeah, and there's other accusations made. Yeah.
Right.
But that's for the courts to decide, not us.
That is something that will probably be said more than once tomorrow.
It seems to me like a great deal of the interest from what I was reading on some of the comments on the event page for the show is based around essentially what safeguards and sureties the new organisers are going to offer to make sure there's not a repeat of the previous behaviour.
Correct.
Would that be a fair comment?
Yes. Absolutely. And by the way, with us being down to 3 or 4 minutes, I want to do a closing toast here. Hey, here's to Kevin. Informative, entertaining, and thank you, man. That was really great. Appreciate that.
Anytime. If anybody, those of you who haven't got me as a friend on Facebook, I'm one of those weirdos who'll accept friend requests from anyone. Please do feel free to add me. If you've got any other questions you want to ask or stuff you want to bring up in the show, there's never a moment of my life where I'm not prepared to talk about snakes and reptiles.
I think most of the people hanging on are a part of it, but we also have a Facebook group for Talk of the Tavern called VIP, Virtual International Pub. Post all kinds of goofy stuff, kitten videos, inappropriate memes. Thank you, Kat. She says, great show this evening, everyone.
Thanks, Kat.
Thanks, Kat. It's lovely seeing you.
Keep in mind, our Facebook pages, they are our own. So Kevin is going to post things like what he says here because he can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have anybody who gets terribly easily offended here. But yeah, keep that in mind.
You're in the wrong place if you do.
Yeah.
I just confirmed you as a friend, Kevin. Sorry.
Hey. See, you can ask a woman all you want, but she won't befriend you until you whip your python out.
Yeah, that's right. Not until I want it. All right, not until that. Oh, I love your alien. That's cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my cover picture, if you expand on it, it says find your center and then burst forth through its chest.
Now, after that...
Oh.
Hold on.
I miss Kat.
Ed?
Hi, Kat. Good seeing you again. Hey, Aaron, it was really, really good seeing you again, man. Long time no see.
Absolutely. After Bill of Rights, we do have some fun shows coming up. Clapping Poetry, where podcasting, 2. Podcasting's Rich Siegfried will be our guest on that show. Going Down, where we talk about skydiving, bungee jumping, scuba diving, and muff diving.
Flip diving,
Muff diving.
All the divings.
After that, we have Cooking and Cannibalism, where we're going to talk, again, Kevin's going to be featured. We're also going to have Stephanie on, who's a professional chef. and talk about cooking. Third hour, we're totally talking about cannibalism recipes. After that, we didn't start the fire, talking about the history of people bitching about other generations besides their own. And it goes on with the list. So make sure you...
Fun stuff.
Yeah, baby. Oh. Kevin, you did it wrong, so there's no space between your bitches and your HTTP.
Are we going to raid someone?
Oh, yeah, let's raid. Oh, good. I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me see
I just remembered.
who I have here.
Usually
That's
Lady
on.
Orange, right?
We've got Bob Ross. Oh, hold on. Let me see.
Lady Orange is on vacation.
It looks
Oh.
like Madam Gandalf is on, so let's definitely do a
Oh.
raid for
Absolutely, yeah.
her. Give me a second. I'm setting that up in our last couple seconds. Feel free to jump over there and say hello and then stay on or go to bed as you wish.
She's fun.
There we go. And we've got that raid set up. Guys, have a great week. Hope to see you tomorrow. And if not, hope to see you next Monday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone.
Bye.
Well, we've got another 10. Oh, Robin, thank you so much for that 100-bit cheer.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Robin.
Every little bit.
We're out.
Fair exchange is no